This man vanished for 17 years. Yet the world never stopped revering him. Now, with time and space twisted against him, he has returned to Earth once more. Decades spent deep in a dungeon with not a single woman in sight. The moment he spots a beauty on a billboard, he just cannot help himself. 17 years ago, the dungeon tore open without warning. Countless monsters surged up from the depths. Seomun, the most powerful transcendent on Earth, led 7 mighty warriors into brutal combat against the creatures of the underground. Just as they stormed the final stronghold of the underground civilization, the dungeon began to collapse. To seal the monsters inside for good, Seomun made the call alone. He stood his ground against 100,000 monsters by himself. With that, the war between humans and monsters, fought across decades, finally came to an end. The 7 surviving transcendents became the heroes of humanity. But Seomun, who never came back, became something more, a legend. And just like that, 17 years passed. A world free of monsters no longer needed transcendents as protectors. Instead, they compete on behalf of their nations in head-to-head battles. Yet Nation A, the very country that crushed countless dungeons and gave birth to the 7 heroes, sits dead last. The crowd's jeers and the flood of online comments leave Coach Baek Ji-ho utterly speechless. As one of the original 7 heroes, he has lost 3 matches straight since taking the job. The crowd is not wrong. Aside from Baek Ha-yeon, the rest are nobodies. Is Nation A's transcendent program really finished? Thinking back to his old comrades, Baek Ji-ho finds the new generation of transcendents deeply disappointing. No fire, no will. Baek Ji-ho decides this is the moment to resign as head coach. He refuses to let a lifetime of glory be buried here. Just then, the association president calls him. He expects a scolding for failing as a coach. Instead, the news leaves him completely dumbstruck. At that very moment, above the plaza where Seomun statue stands, a dimensional rift splits open. A figure drops from the sky. The crowd hears a thunderous crash right in front of the statue. They look closer. It is Seomun, the hero who vanished 17 years ago. Through the rising noise around him, Seomun slowly opens his eyes. Damn, I'm finally back. When Seomun wakes up in the hospital and learns that 17 years have passed, he is genuinely stunned. Only 2.5 days passed inside the dungeon. How could so much time have gone by on Earth? Then it hits him. My savings, my cars, my mansion. The nurse tells him that everyone had assumed he would never return, so following his will, his 50 billion in savings was donated to a children's charity. His luxury cars were auctioned off, and his mansion is now a museum. The only thing unchanged is his face. By Earth's timeline, he should be 47 years old. Could it be the effect of the dimensional distortion? Outside the hospital, reporters form a long queue, each scrambling to be first to interview the returned transcendent. Once the nurse leaves, Seomun checks his own condition. He activates his analysis eye, and a status panel appears before him. This ability is what made him the strongest transcendent on Earth. It lets him see the current abilities of any target and reveal their future potential. Thanks to this skill, he reached the top 17 years ago. Using it, he also recognized and took in a student of exceptional promise. That student was Baek Ji-ho, who later became one of the 7 heroes. Looking at his current stats, Seomun is caught off guard. Why has his willpower broken past 100, capping at 110? And what is this new skill? Immunity to death from physical impact. How did he acquire something this broken? Could it be from that final battle? While he is still turning this over in his mind, a knock comes at the door. Yup, are you alright? Seomun grins at the puffy middle-aged man in front of him. You've gotten a lot weaker, Ji-ho. The two head to the hospital rooftop to catch up. Baek Ji-ho fills him in. He is currently serving as head coach of the national team, training the next generation of transcendents. These days, a competitive sport called Warfire has taken the world by storm. Dungeons are built inside virtual reality, and transcendents from every nation battle it out within them. After the war ended, transcendents had nowhere left to channel their power, so this sport was designed specifically for them. Seomun watches the clip Baek Ji-ho shows him and feels absolutely nothing. To him, it looks like a bunch of kids playing pretend. He asks, out of mild curiosity, where their country ranks. At the question, Baek Ji-ho stammers and cannot get a single clear word out. Seomun loses patience. Did your ears go along with your youth? We had plenty of top fighters back in the day. We should be at the top of a little game like this. Baek Ji-ho winces. We are ranked first, last from the bottom. On the way back, Seomun spots a stunning woman on a billboard and sighs. It's so good to be back on Earth. Baek Ji-ho follows his gaze. That's my daughter. Seomun suddenly remembers. 17 years have passed. He awkwardly changes the subject, but Baek Ji-ho keeps bringing up Warfire the entire way home. Even knowing Nation A is dead last, Seomun has zero interest in helping them win. To him, it is just entertainment for the wealthy. He says not calling Batman to report the Joker is already doing the world a favor. Seomun follows Baek Ji-ho back to his place. The moment he walks in, he is hit with a full-on display of affection from Baek Ji-ho and his wife. Seomun cannot help but wonder, in this peaceful era without dungeon battles, what exactly is he supposed to do? For the next few days, Seomun does not step outside once. He is determined to binge every show he missed over the past 17 years. But Baek Ji-ho cannot hold it together. Since Seomun arrived, reporters have been camped outside non-stop. To get rid of them, Seomun agrees to hold a press conference. The next day, at the press conference Baek Ji-ho organizes, everyone is buzzing, wondering whether Seomun will pull a stunt. 17 years ago, he was notorious for being cringeworthy. Sure enough, when it comes to pulling stunts, Seomun never disappoints. A couple of sharp remarks, and the entire room goes silent. Still, a few hotheads are brave enough. A bald man raises his hand and asks whether Seomun intends to join Warfire. Seomun answers without blinking. He will not be joining. The bald man pushes back. Is it a confidence issue? Seomun grins. You seem to be lacking something yourself, hair. The room erupts. Just as Seomun is about to walk out, a reporter with glasses calls after him. One last question before you go. Yesterday, Gerald said the 7 heroes are paper tigers he could knock down with one punch. Your response? Seomun stares blankly. Who even is Gerald? Is he supposed to be the best there is? The reporter clears his throat. throat. He explains that the current 3 giants of Warfire are Nathan from Nation B, Roy from Nation E, and Daniel from Nation C. Gerald is the pride of Nation D but still a step below the 3 giants. Seomun-yup pinches the bridge of his nose. And this guy had the nerve to run his mouth? Tell him, if he cannot even beat the 3 giants, he should keep his mouth shut. Otherwise, I will bury him in my backyard myself. Word spreads fast. The moment Gerald sees Seomun-yup's dismissal, he boards the next flight to Nation A overnight. But since Seomun-yup is not a registered Warfire player, Gerald takes his frustration out on Nation A's professional team instead. As head coach, Baek Ji-ho is close to tears. You stir up trouble and leave the mess for everyone else to clean up. Seomun-yup shrugs. Even if the sky came crashing down, nothing would stop him from watching his shows. Then something crosses his mind. If it's a national team match, would Ha-yeon be competing too? Barely a moment later, Baek Ha-yeon walks through the door. She heard that her legendary uncle had returned to Earth and rushed home right away. The instant she sees Seomun-yup, she turns into a complete fangirl. She tackles him to the floor. Seomun-yup's face turns red. Ha-yeon, you've grown up. Baek Ha-yeon beams and curls up against him like a kid. He then asks whether she came back for Nation A's tournament. She says the main reason she is here is to see him. Leaning into him, she asks whether he would consider joining Warfire. Seomun-yup points at the TV. He has important business to attend to. Ha-yeon immediately starts pouting, saying her uncle has changed. He used to grant her every single wish. Seomun-yup stares at her. The only thing that has grown is you. When the pouting gets her nowhere, Ha-yeon asks him to come along for her ability test instead. Faced with those pleading eyes, Seomun-yup sighs and gives in. The two head to the Transcendent Association, guided by the staff. Baek Ha-yeon changes and steps into the virtual pod. Here, Seomun-yup learns how Warfire actually works. Transcendents select their weapons through the virtual pod and fight monsters inside a virtual world. After watching Ha-yeon perform, Seomun-yup gives her a half-hearted compliment. Not bad for someone her age. Ha-yeon, annoyed, dares him to try it himself. Seomun-yup tells her flat out he does not play Warfire. Ha-yeon jabs a finger at him. Nobody said play, just take the test. She starts pouting again, saying she has never once seen him fight in her entire life. Seomun-yup groans. Fine, just because you asked. With the staff guiding him, Seomun-yup gets ready. Warfire, let's see what you've actually got. The data transfer completes, and Seomun-yup enters the virtual space. The familiar atmosphere feels just like being back in a dungeon. He contacts the staff and tells them to throw whatever they have at him. The staff member presses the button. A one-eyed Sarlbon materializes in front of Seomun-yup. The staff member tells Ha-yeon, this is the strongest creature currently in the database. The only question is how long it takes Seomun-yup to finish it. Inside the virtual space, the monster launches at Seomun-yup at full speed. Seomun-yup does not even blink. He tosses aside his weapon entirely. Why even bother bringing this thing? Then he raises a single finger and flicks. The explosion is massive. The monster is obliterated in an instant. The two outside are left completely speechless. Ha-yeon always knew her uncle was strong, but not this absurdly strong. Seomun-yup calmly tells them not to make such a big deal out of it. He asks the staff for another one. He has something he needs to test. A new Sarlbon quickly spawns in, but before anything happens, a strange voice cuts through. As the strongest on Earth, surely a mere Sarlbon is not enough for you. Seomun-yup is still trying to figure out who spoke when an alarm blares from the outside system. Warning! Someone is attempting to breach from an external module. With a burst of scorching flame, a fully armored man charges into the virtual space. You told me to come find you. Does that offer still stand? It is Gerald, the very man Seomun-yup had challenged. Seomun-yup says nothing as Gerald continues to shout. Gerald takes the silence as disrespect. He attacks without another word. His axe is nearly there, but the next second it cuts through nothing. While Gerald is still trying to process this, a chilling voice rises from directly behind him. Did you think I was scared? Please? I finally have someone worth testing myself against. Why would I let you go so easily? Outside, Ha-yeon and the staff are completely baffled. Why would a transcendent from Nation D just hack into their server like this? The truth is, it was orchestrated by Lim Jin-tae, the association president. Baek Ji-ho was in on it too. They were hoping this would spark Seomun-yup's interest in Warfire. Inside the virtual space, Seomun-yup has already gotten a solid read on Gerald through their initial exchanges. But for a clearer picture, Seomun-yup activates his analysis eye. He sees that aside from speed, all of Gerald's other stats sit above 80%. His strength and endurance have both hit the cap of 100. The man was practically built to be a tank. Seomun-yup cannot help but think, if he had met this guy 17 years ago, he might have brought him to that final dungeon. Thinking of the new ability he gained back at the hospital, he had been planning to test it on a monster. But now this guy showed up, why not use him instead? With that settled, Seomun-yup grabs his weapon and charges. Gerald scoffs. That technique? I could read it in my sleep. He swings the axe down, then freezes. Why did he not move? That makes no sense. Seomun-yup stares back with a dangerous smile. Let me show you what being completely outclassed actually looks like. The axe lands. Seomun-yup is slammed into the ground. Outside, Ha-yeon and the others gasp. They have no idea if Seomun-yup is pulling another stunt. Gerald is just as confused. Why did he not dodge? It was as if he wanted to get hit. Then, in a lazy, unhurried tone, Seomun-yup speaks, and a bolt of lightning tears through the air. Gerald stares in shock, but before he can make sense of it, Seomun-yup steps out of the smoke completely unharmed. This is the new skill Seomun-yup gained upon returning to Earth, Undying. It grants full immunity to physical damage and rapid wound recovery. Seomun-yup grins at the dumbfounded Gerald. Impressive, right? Gerald completely loses his composure. How is anyone supposed to fight this? But having tested the skill, Seomun-yup asked the staff to disable it. He finally found found a decent sparring partner. He is not about to scare him off. Once Undying is disabled, Seomun turns back to Gerald. I did not want you making excuses after losing. Now fight me properly. Gerald tosses him a weapon from the ground. You are just as arrogant as the rumors say. Wrong. The rumors are false. I am far better than anything they say. That said, you cannot even beat the three giants, and you come here to challenge me? That takes a special kind of nerve. Gerald's temper snaps on the spot. He launches himself at Seomun at full speed. Seomun blocks the charge without even breaking a sweat. Then he blinks out of existence. While Gerald is still looking around in confusion, Seomun mocking voice comes from right behind him. A sudden reverse thrust drives straight at Gerald's face. Gerald's instincts fire. He drops back fast, putting distance between them. But Seomun looks like he has already had his fun. He channels all his power into his spear. He hurls it. The spear tears through the air with a sonic boom. Gerald raises his shield, but still gets launched off his feet. Seomun looks down at Gerald on one knee. He smiles with complete confidence. It is over. I have already won. Gerald immediately protests. The spear missed, he says. Seomun scoffs. I aimed wide on purpose. I went easy on you. Stop making excuses. Either way, you will never beat me with a shield that size. Gerald stares at him, puzzled. Seomun starts coaching him on the spot. Do not rely on your size. Switch to a smaller shield and you open up your field of vision. Given your agility and control, that setup suits you far better. Gerald eyes him with suspicion. Are you seriously trying to trick me? Are you kidding? Even if I taught you everything I know, you still would not beat me. Listening to the exchange from outside, Baek Ji-ho grinds his teeth. Seomun always has to pull something wild. Gerald was already a nightmare to deal with. Now he is making it worse. Having finished his impromptu lesson, Seomun turns to leave. On his way out, he tells Gerald to remember to pay his tuition. Gerald says that is no problem, but Seomun must fight him at the A-class tournament in 2 weeks. Seomun is not pleased. I told you I'm not competing. Fine, keep your tuition. Gerald grabs onto him. Just say the word and I will pay whatever you ask. I will give you myself if I have to. Outside, everyone watching the screen has the same pained expression. Then something clicks for Lim Jin-tae. A brilliantly bad idea takes shape in his head. Looks like it is time to make use of this situation. After Seomun wraps up with Gerald, Lim Jin-tae hands the footage of their conversation to the media. He also leaks a statement. If Nation D wins their upcoming match with a clean sweep, Seomun will personally compete in a friendly match between the two nations. Seomun is at home watching his shows when he sees the news. He hits the roof. If Lim Jin-tae were not his oldest friend, he would tear the entire Transcendent Association to the ground. Lim Jin-tae puts on his best wounded look and says he had no choice. Being the president of the Warfire Association comes with enormous pressure, but he tells Seomun not to worry. There are 3 matches in the series. If Nation D fails to win even one match with their full roster intact, the friendly match is off. Seomun is not happy about it, but for the sake of their long history, he lets it go. He makes one thing clear though. This is the last time. The moment even one Nation D player goes down, no amount of begging will get him into that match. Lim Jin-tae swears up and down that it is a deal. But what Seomun does not yet know, Nation A's Transcendence never failed to disappoint. This match is practically guaranteed to go the wrong way. Back home, Seomun settles in to get back to his shows, but every channel is running stories about him. It drives him up the wall. Just as he is about to step outside for some air, he hears the sounds of Ha-yeon training nearby. Baek Ha-yeon is working on her agility under her father's supervision. Baek Ji-ho tells her that as a support striker, the key to supporting her teammates better is to sharpen her mobility above all else. Seomun overhears this from behind and immediately senses something is off. He activates his analysis eye and pulls up Ha-yeon's stats. Ha-yeon's agility is already maxed out, and her growth ceiling is far lower than her father's was at her age, yet her potential in strength and endurance far exceeds his. Baek Ji-ho's training method may have worked for himself, but applied to his daughter it is completely wrong, and positioning her as a support striker is an even worse idea. Seomun looks over at Ha-yeon catching her breath. He thinks to himself, this is their ace? At this level they might not take out a single Nation D player. He steps in and tells Ha-yeon to stop training agility and speed entirely. Baek Ji-ho pushes back. He believes she still has room to improve. Seomun points straight at him. Your daughter has the same speed type build as you, even the same ability. That is why you want to mold her in your image, but she is not you. He turns to Ha-yeon. You keep using your whip to bind enemies and hand them off to your teammates. That is entirely wrong. You are capable of finishing them yourself. Why hand them over to teammates who cannot even close the deal? What you need to train right now is strength and swordsmanship. He picks up a weapon from the ground to demonstrate. The whip coils around the sandbag. Seomun drives a clean horizontal slash. In the blink of an eye, the sandbag is split clean in 2. Both of them stand there with their mouths open. Seomun says calmly, starting today, Ha-yeon's role changes from support striker to close range fighter. For the next 14 days, I will be training her personally. Back home, Gerald takes Seomun advice to heart and swaps his massive shield for the smallest size available. The results speak for themselves. The weakness he had been carrying is gone. Even his manager notices the change and tells him, keep this up, and beating the 3 giants is only a matter of time. Gerald asks him, if you put a number on this improvement, what would it be worth? The manager thinks it over. About 10 million. Master this style fully and your next contract renewal could be worth even more. Gerald looks over at Seomun on the TV screen. Good. Wire 10 million to Seomun right now. Tell him it is tuition from Gerald. Well, nobody expected the bald guy to actually be a man of his word. 2 weeks pass in no time. The match between Nation A and Nation D opens to a roaring crowd. The host makes the introductions and both teams take the field one by one. Seomun is seated in the stands, genuinely curious to see what Ha-yeon can do in her new role. The dungeon chosen for this match is an underground ancient city guarded by skeleton warriors, the Palace of Maltaborni. It has 3 floors, each with a boss. The first floor holds the skeleton warlord, the second floor, the Death Knight, and at the very top, the Bone Dragon and the Sorcerer. The rules are simple. Wipe out the opposing team to win. Killing monsters monsters or enemy players earns kill points. The more points you stack, the greater the rewards. Both teams enter their virtual pods. The first match begins. Both sides push toward the boss from opposite ends of the map. The Nation D Transcendent team, led by Gerald, moves with disciplined precision. Their mobility is not the fastest, but their defense is an absolute wall. Nation A's team, led by Baek Ha-yeon, is the complete opposite. They skip past the lower-level enemies on the first floor and charge straight for the boss room. Watching his daughter charge across the screen, Baek Ji-ho quietly cheers her on. This strategy was his idea. It is a high-risk move, but a successful run would net them a massive kill point lead. And once the boss falls, the first floor locks down within minutes, potentially throwing Nation D's entire game plan into chaos. Ha-yeon reaches the skeleton warlord fast, but as the fight begins, Nation D scouts have already spotted everything. The intel is relayed back to Gerald immediately. Gerald orders his team to stop hunting and converge on the boss zone as fast as possible. But Gerald's own speed is a limiting factor. He turns to one of his teammates. "This is on you and your ability now." Meanwhile, Ha-yeon and her teammates are deep in their fight against the skeleton warlord when Gerald comes flying in like a cannonball. He cuts off Ha-yeon's attack on the boss and slams straight into her, knocking her out of the match. Outside the screen, Baek Ji-ho stares in shock. He can see it. Gerald was launched across the map using a teammate's ability. Without Ha-yeon, the rest of the team stands no chance against Nation D. They are wiped out soon after. Ha-yeon steps out of her virtual pod looking crushed. She had her uncle's coaching this time, so why did they still lose? She pushes open the locker room door and walks straight into Seo-mun-yeop's voice. He has seen enough. That match was painful to watch. He is going to draw up their strategy himself, and it will be a strategy that takes Gerald down at least once. The second match gets underway quickly. This time, Nation D splits into two squads from the opening. A 6-man advance squad uses their speed to lock down the hunting zones early. Gerald leads the second squad and focuses entirely on kills. Over on Nation A side, they abandon their defensive approach entirely and charge as one. The commentators are left completely dumbfounded. Did Nation A just break? Why did the entire team turn into hotheads? In the stands, Seo-mun-yeop watches with a quiet smile. Good. Follow the plan and there will be an opening. The strategy Seo-mun-yeop designed is a surprise attack. He cleared this very dungeon himself when he was young. On the surface, the Palace of Maltaborni appears to be a one-way structure, but hidden beneath it is a side passage built by the underground civilization. A secret route, perfectly suited for ambushes. Very few people know how to find it. As long as the map is a faithful reconstruction, it will be there. Seo-mun-yeop's instructions are clear. Once the full team is inside the secret passage, hit the scattered Nation D squad all at once. And when facing Gerald directly, go for his legs. Switching to the smaller shield has narrowed his defensive range, and covering his teammates is no longer as natural to him. That means he is not fully adapted yet. Finish the fight before he does. On top of that, Nation D needs to win with their full roster intact. Under that kind of pressure, hit from ambush by a force twice their size, Seo-mun-yeop is certain Gerald will fall. Inside the virtual battlefield, Nation D scout near the boss zone is wondering where the entire Nation A team disappeared to, when Ha-yeon and her teammates have already found the secret passage. Gerald is mid-hunt when the wall behind him explodes. All 11 Nation A players pour through at once. Gerald's heart jolts. He throws up his defense immediately, but the attack is not aimed at him. It is aimed at the support players behind him. He takes down 3 Nation A players, but loses 2 of his own support players in the process. 3 against 8 is already a losing position, and Ha-yeon knows exactly where to hit him. Before long, all that remains is Gerald, with a broken leg. Gerald knows. A turnaround this fast, this precise, it could only be Seo-mun-yeop's doing. The moment Nation D's ace Gerald is eliminated, the crowd erupts. This is an unbelievable turnaround. Nation A just took down 5 Nation D players. Baek Ji-ho stares the big screen in a daze. Seo-mun-yeop stands behind him completely calm. See? Told you. Ha-yeon was always going to take Gerald down. The match between Nation A and Nation D is over. 5 kills is a historic performance, but they still lost. Still, for the Nation A team, this is a long-awaited breakthrough. They finally snapped their losing streak, and every bit of it came from Seo-mun-yeop's guidance before the match. The match footage hits 10 million views in under 5 minutes of being posted online. Lim Jin-tae tracks down Seo-mun-yeop and asks whether he has any interest in putting his abilities to real use. Seo-mun-yeop gives him a look. "I won our bet, don't bother me." Lim Jin-tae laughs nervously. He explains that in just a few days the Warfire Professional League is set to begin. Before the opening ceremony, he wants to gather notable players for a charity match. He hopes Seo-mun-yeop will take part. As soon as the words are out, Lim Jin-tae expects a flat refusal. He knows Seo-mun-yeop well enough. If he does not want to do something, nothing in the world will make him. But Seo-mun-yeop says he will think about it. Lim Jin-tae nearly loses his mind with excitement. He grabs Seo-mun-yeop by the head and tries to pull him into a hug. Seo-mun-yeop pulls back, irritated. "I said I would think about it, not that I would join." Lim Jin-tae says he just could not contain himself. Seeing that wide, glowing smile, Seo-mun-yeop cannot help but wonder just how genuine this charity match really is. Lim Jin-tae's conscience flares up instantly, but he straightens his back and insists he never lied. Seo-mun-yeop makes it clear. His participation comes with conditions. The scene shifts to the house. There stands Baek Ji-ho in the training yard, his face heavy with worry. That's right. Seo-mun-yeop's condition is that Baek Ji-ho must compete too. Baek Ji-ho is not happy about it. "I'm 48 years old and I haven't touched a weapon in 17 years. I'll make a complete fool of myself out there." Seo-mun-yeop just smiles. He promises to train him back into shape, to help him rediscover who he used to be. As he says it, he activates his analysis eye and scans Baek Ji-ho's stats. After 17 years without combat, every single attribute is dropped. Seomun Yup grins. Didn't realize you'd gotten this week. We start hell training tomorrow. Meanwhile, Lim Jin-tae sits by the window, turning Seomun Yup's words over in his mind. Beyond bringing Baek Ji-ho in, Seomun Yup also demanded that Baek Ha-yeon be his partner. But regardless, the 7 heroes reuniting, even partially, is the kind of headline that pulls in sponsors. With that thought, Lim Jin-tae picks up the phone. It's me. I need a favor. With 7 days left until the charity match, Baek Ji-ho brings Seomun Yup to the Warfire Association. Before the match, Seomun Yup needs to complete an avatar assessment. This will calibrate his in-game stats to match his real-world capabilities. The assessment covers 3 areas: strength, agility, and focus. The tests themselves are straightforward. Pull the handle, get your strength score. Seomun Yup follows the instructions and pulls 3 times in a row. The scores come in 813, 817, 819. Nothing remarkable. The staff barely react. Then comes the agility test. Following the instructions, Seomun Yup begins weaving through the course, but this time, the number that flashes up leaves the staff standing outside completely stunned. 971. For reference, Nathan, the fastest on land, sits at 1007. This score already puts Seomun Yup among the top few in the world. But Seomun Yup isn't satisfied. He thinks, push a little harder, and there might be more room to grow. With that thought, he sharpens his focus. He can't quite explain it, but today, he feels incredible. Locked in, Seomun Yup runs the course again. This time he's even faster. When the result appears, everyone outside gasps. How is that possible? Seomun Yup has scored 1007, tied with Nathan, the fastest transcendent on land. Seomun Yup is puzzled. His agility attribute is 97%. Nathan's is 100%. How could they possibly score the same? He decides to retest his strength. This time he focuses first, then pulls with everything he has. The score jumps again, 890. Seomun Yup reflects on the change. That sensation just now, it feels strangely familiar. Then it hits him. That's it. The same feeling from when he was left alone in that final dungeon, fighting with everything he had. The moment he pushed his willpower far beyond human limits, staring death in the face. No wonder his willpower broke through the human ceiling. So that breakthrough carries other effects too. With that mystery solved, Seomun Yup moves on to the final test. A glowing orb, designed to measure focus score. Place your hand on it, channel your focus, and the orb changes color. Seomun Yup had already pushed his focus score to the maximum of 100 through meditation. This test holds no challenge for him. The moment his hand touches the orb, the number climbs so fast it leaves everyone outside frozen in place. The orb turns deep black violet. The final score appears on the big screen. The staff's jaws drop. None of them can speak. 1030. He has just shattered the all-time human record. Word spreads fast. Seomun Yup is entering the charity match hosted by Nation A. The big players from around the world begin to move. Furman, Nation D's most prominent agent, steps off the plane and can't help but reflect. 15 years ago, Nation A was overflowing with elite fighters, and it was thanks to him recruiting so many of them back to Nation D that he was able to build his top-tier agency. His one regret was never landing Baek Ji-ho. But back then, none of the 7 heroes had any interest in Warfire. This time though, he absolutely cannot let Seomun Yup slip through his fingers. And Furman isn't alone. Jack, one of Europe's top agents, has also arrived in Nation A. Even the Moro brothers from Nation B have shown up. They all share the same goal. Sign Seomun Yup. Then, the sharp click of heels echoes through the airport. Everyone turns. The atmosphere freezes. It's Shulan, the youngest member of the former 7 heroes. Relax, everyone. I just came to see Seomun Yup. On the other side of town, when Seomun Yup hears that Shulan has arrived, he is not thrilled. 17 years ago, Shulan was chosen as one of the 7 heroes for her rare and extraordinary ability. The only daughter of a wealthy family, she had been under full government protection since childhood, living like royalty every step of her life. But after she joined Seomun Yup's team, he would tear into her without mercy over tactical coordination every single time. So hearing that she's here now sends a chill straight through him. Baek Ha-yeon can practically smell the drama brewing. Baek Ji-ho tells Seomun Yup to set it aside for now. The match is what matters. Seomun Yup shrugs it off. With himself, Baek Ji-ho, and Baek Ha-yeon, that lineup is more than enough. Everyone else can just coast to victory. But then, a figure in the crowd catches Seomun Yup's eye. His name is Choi Hyuk. His stats aren't maxed out, but he possesses 2 exceptional skills: focus, concentration, and endurance boost, especially that second one. And his strength ceiling sits at 90. With the right training, he could become a genuinely solid tank. That thought barely finishes forming before Seomun Yup calls him over. When he finds out Choi Hyuk is currently playing as a close-range fighter, Seomun Yup's brain short-circuits. Are you out of your mind? You could be a tank and you're out here as a close-range fighter? Do you even know what your own skills do? Choi Hyuk explains that he considered it, but his smaller build pushed him toward an offensive role, and his focus concentration skill fits naturally with attacking. And there it is. This kid has no idea he's already awakened his second skill. Seomun Yup has Baek Ha-yeon bring over a shield. He tells Choi Hyuk, no time for long explanations. Just strap the shield to the left side of his chest and don't ask questions. Choi Hyuk looks completely lost, but before he can say a word, Seomun Yup fixes him with a cold stare. Don't argue with me, kid. Starting now, you're the team's tank. Choi Hyuk looks like a kicked puppy, but there's no time to protest. The crowd roars. Both teams make their entrance. Killing time, Seomun Yup idly scans the area. Then a bleached blonde kid blowing bubbles catches his eye. Shim Young-soo has decent overall stats, but his willpower is absolute garbage. Seomun Yup, who clawed his way up from nothing, has never had patience for people without grit, and the feeling is mutual. Shim Young-soo has no respect for Seo Mun-yeop either, especially after Seo Mun-yeop lectured them at the last match. Who does that ancient fossil think he is? Never even played Warfire and acting like he knows everything. Seo Mun-yeop clocks the attitude immediately. He strolls over. Seems like you've got a problem with me. Shim Young-soo sneers. Obviously, you were putting on quite a show last time. You've never even played Warfire. You're a relic. Bet I'll destroy you out there. That genuinely amuses Seo Mun-yeop. Well, thanks to you, I think I'm starting to take an interest in Warfire. You're done today. Both teams step into their virtual pods. The arena erupts. Among the audience, beyond the top agents, Gerald himself has also arrived. The map for this match is the Spinning Caves of Asha, a terrain made up of 3 circular arenas with a secret passage at the center that leads underground. The monsters include Arachne, skeleton warriors, and Sarlbon. Before entering the dungeon, Baek Ji-ho has the strategy mapped out. Everyone clears Zone 5-1, then immediately moves to Zone 5-2. Meanwhile, Seo Mun-yeop goes alone to take down the boss in Zone 5. Once the boss dies, Zone 5 seals off. So everyone needs to time their kills to finish simultaneously. The team murmurs among themselves. Can someone really solo Sarlbon? Even the strongest teams need 3 people for that. But Baek Ji-ho doesn't explain. He moves straight on to the Zone 6 strategy. You don't earn the title of world's strongest for nothing. A monster at that level? Barely a warm-up for him. The match begins, and Seo Mun-yeop begins his hunt. Working alongside Baek Ji-ho, the two of them cut through monsters at a blistering pace. The crowd goes wild. A legendary duo reunited. Their synergy is flawless, their power undiminished. In no time, the first zone is cleared. Arachne may not be the most fearsome creature, but without piercing that hardened shell, no attack does a thing. Seo Mun-yeop launches the technique again and again. The Bald brothers in the audience are completely in awe. This is Seo Mun-yeop's signature move, the 100-centimeter thrust technique. Quite a sight to behold. But for Shulan, this is nothing new. What looks like a basic throwing move, Seo Mun-yeop has turned into something extraordinary. The moment the throw activates, the spear rockets forward at blinding speed. And what Seo Mun-yeop does is catch it again before it travels 100 centimeters. A lightning-fast thrust and pull cycle that puts the monster through relentless, agonizing punishment. The catch, this insane technique requires catching something moving like a bullet. One mistake, and it all falls apart. Shulan watches quietly. You really haven't changed at all, Seo Mun-yeop. Meanwhile, Baek Ji-ho is rallying the team to push into Zone 2. That's when he notices Seo Mun-yeop is gone. Choi Hyuk tells him he said he wanted to stretch his legs a bit. He's probably already at the boss room. Baek Ji-ho sighs. That guy never changes, always pulling stunts like this. He gathers the remaining 9 and pushes forward to clear Zone 2. Meanwhile, deep inside the boss chamber of Zone 3, Seo Mun-yeop stands before Sarlbon smiling. As if sensing that unnerving familiarity, Sarlbon lets out a thunderous roar and lunges. Seo Mun-yeop sidesteps it without so much as flinching, still as hot-headed as ever. As he speaks, electricity crackles along the length of his spear. He channels the full force of the lightning and drives it forward with everything he has, pushing the strike to its absolute limit. The blue tip of the spear buries itself into the serpent's lower jaw, but the blow doesn't finish it. By the time the rest of the team arrives, the boss is barely breathing, stripped of any ability to fight back. It turns out Seo Mun-yeop had figured something out. The higher the level of a kill in virtual space, the greater the stat boost the attacker's avatar receives. So he deliberately left the finishing blow for the weaker members of the team. He leaps down from Sarlbon. Baek Ji-ho, Ha-yeon, come with me. I just had a brilliant idea. No sooner has the first boss fallen than Seo Mun-yeop takes Baek Ji-ho and Baek Ha-yeon and goes hunting for those little punks who mouthed off before the match. At that moment, Shim Young-soo is busy hunting monsters with his squad. Without warning, a streak of light grazes right past his face. The attack cuts across Shim Young-soo's cheek. He freezes. His first instinct, ambush. At the same time, the other squad on their side is cut off. The ones blocking their path, Choi Hyuk's unit. Before splitting up, Seo Mun-yeop had given Choi Hyuk clear instructions. If you run into the opposing squad, stay calm, just hold them with everything you've got. He and Baek Ji-ho would be there soon. Meanwhile, Seo Mun-yeop is about to launch Baek Ji-ho like a projectile. Whatever you do, don't die out there. You'll never live it down. He hurls Baek Ji-ho forward, and in the same motion, launches his spear. Shim Young-soo assumes it's all aimed at him. He scrambles to get his teammates around him, but the moment Baek Ji-ho closes in, he activates instant dash and appears right behind him. Before Shim Young-soo can even react, their tank is already dead. The entire squad turns to strike back at Baek Ji-ho when a whip drops from above and wraps around him. It's Baek Ha-yeon. She braces both arms and pulls with full force, and Baek Ji-ho shoots through the air back toward Seo Mun-yeop's position. The instant she lands, she triggers her own instant dash. The entire sequence takes under 2.5 seconds. Seo Mun-yeop grins at the stunned squad in front of him. Your tank is down. Time to wrap this up. Meanwhile, the crowd outside is going absolutely wild. Bait the enemy, eliminate the core, then wipe out the rest. This is what the world's strongest looks like. The commentators are completely speechless, and Shim Young-soo finally understands what a real gap in skill looks like. Beat down again and again, he's practically begging for mercy. On the other side, Choi Hyuk has taken his new role as front tank exactly as Seo Mun-yeop ordered. It's his first time in this position, and the power he unleashes shocks even himself. But the other side is the national team. Choi Hyuk is starting to buckle, and then, right at that critical moment, a flash of light tears through the air. One of the little punks is instantly wiped out. Seomun Yup strolls in, all smiles, leave the rest to us, clean finish. Then on to the next round. In the first match, Seomun Yup had handed most of the glory to Baek Ji-ho, but in this second match, he's going to show everyone exactly what the world's strongest is capable of. As the match begins, Baek Ji-ho starts assigning roles to the team. Seomun Yup cuts him off, calm and flat. I'm going solo this round, handle things yourself. Baek Ji-ho frowns. The teamwork in the first match was great, why change it? Because this time, I'm getting serious. Baek Ji-ho watches him sprint off, and his expression darkens. That guy better not cause a disaster. By then, Seomun Yup has already run into the first wave, undead soldiers. They charge at him with full aggression, but his speed doesn't drop for a single moment. He weaves through them, driving the 100-centimeter thrust technique over and over, and the layout of this dungeon, he had it memorized long before the match started. Using the terrain, he tracks down the opposing team in no time. The moment they see him, the little punks go pale. It hasn't even been 10 minutes. How is he already here? Seomun Yup surveys them with cold eyes. Last round was just a warm-up. This time, start screaming. Their captain, Chae Yu-hyun, shouts for the team to stay calm, then immediately tells everyone to run. Seomun Yup smiles as they scatter. Since you're being so cooperative, I'll take my time with you. He raises his spear and activates his analysis eye. Absolute scrubs, nothing impressive here. The spear launches. It punches straight through one of the little punks from behind. First kill secured. The others are already gone. Seomun Yup doesn't mind. They can run. They'll all fall by his hand eventually. By the time the little punks make it to the deepest level of the dungeon, Seomun Yup materializes right in front of them and sends their minds blank. Chae Yu-hyun orders everyone to tighten up. Don't let him ambush again. But Seomun Yup is already walking calmly toward the open platform at the center. Even the commentators have no idea what he's about to do. Seomun Yup stares into the abyss at the center and calculates quietly. At the pace those little punks were retreating, they should be at the bottom by now. Let's see if I'm right. Power surges into the spear. He hurls it straight down into the abyss. The spear tears through the darkness like a dragon diving into the deep. The little punks below feel a sudden rush of cold air from above, and before anyone can react, one of them is run clean through. Chae Yu-hyun is completely dumbfounded. The commentators outside are in pure shock. That is without question the greatest kill we have ever seen in the history of Warfire. With two teammates down, the little punks start turning on each other. Shim Young-soo, with his rock-bottom willpower, is first to crack. He rounds on Chae Yu-hyun. All you do is run. You don't know how to stand and fight. Chae Yu-hyun tells him to calm down. They're already short on numbers. Sending people to hold off Seomun Yup risks getting surrounded. Shim Young-soo is furious. Just hit him with an explosion ball and be done with it. Chae Yu-hyun tells him to conserve his focus. Shim Young-soo has had enough. He ignores his captain and fires an explosion ball straight at Seomun Yup's position. The blast tears through the air. Shim Young-soo smirks. I knew you were hiding back there. Nothing left of you now. But as those words leave his mouth, Seomun Yup walks out of the smoke completely unharmed. What an idiot. Couldn't you tell I let you find me on purpose? Before Shim Young-soo can respond, Seomun Yup leaps and vanishes. Shim Young-soo's composure is starting to crack. His prized ability deflected like it was nothing. In Major League play, barely anyone had ever blocked one of his explosion balls. That skill was the very reason he made it onto the national team as the core striker. Chae Yu-hyun recognizes the threat. He splits the team into two groups to pin Seomun Yup down. Seomun Yup watches three of them peel off. He stares, expressionless. Thought you might actually come up with something. This is even more disappointing than I expected. He leaps into the middle of them. Playtime is over. Every strike of the spear takes one of them out. 5 kills. The audience is stunned into silence. A solo 5-kill streak in the opening minutes. So this is what the world's strongest truly looks like. Shulan stares at the screen motionless. He really came back. Baek Ji-ho hears the news and immediately tries to reach Seomun Yup. What's going on over there? We're coming to link up with you. Seomun Yup grins. Don't bother. It'll be over before you get here. Time for the real slaughter. He moves. In an instant, he stands before the remaining 6. They look at him, a god of death closing in, and panic sets in. Chae Yu-hyun orders them to pair up and surround him. But a pack of sheep is no match for a lone wolf. All he needs is one spear. Seomun Yup steamrolls through them with overwhelming force. Shim Young-soo is frozen in disbelief. What kind of monster did they provoke? He watches Seomun Yup advance toward him step by step, and despair sets in completely. What awaits him is a beating with no end. They emerge from their virtual pods. The host rushes straight to Seomun Yup. She asks if he has any advice for the national team. Seomun Yup scratches his head. He genuinely can't think of any. If I had to say something, just tear it all down and start over. The host follows up. Has he ever considered becoming a coach? Seomun Yup smiles. Depends on how serious the offer is. On the way back, Baek Ji-ho asks if he's serious about coaching. Seomun Yup says if the price is right, he'd consider it, but he also tells Baek Ji-ho to step down as head coach. Flat out, he's not cut out for teaching. Baek Ji-ho takes that hard. He had spent 11 years alongside Seomun Yup. He thought he'd grown into someone who'd hold his own. Not this. And Emre Casa, another of the 7 heroes, had become a world-class head coach. By comparison, this feels like complete failure. He asks if Seomun Yup would take on the role of technical coach instead. Same answer, right price, anything is possible. But for old time's sake, he'll throw in a few tips for free. First, bring Choi Hyuk onto the national team as a tank. Second, use Liu Bihu as a trump card for one-shot kills. That acceleration skill of his has its uses. Third, move Chae Yu-hyun from front tank to support tank in the back line. And last, cut the vice chairman's son, Shim Yong-soo. Baek Ji-ho pushes back, not because he's worried about the vice chairman, but because Shim Yong-soo's stats are genuinely among the best on the national team. Seo Mun-yeop scoffs. What's the point of raw ability if your willpower is that of a child? A person like that is poison to the whole team, unless you can build his willpower up from scratch. Talking as they go, the two arrive at Hotel Henrik's. A banquet follows the charity match, and Seo Mun-yeop, as the star of the show, has to make an appearance. The room is also full of top agents from across the world. The moment Seo Mun-yeop arrives, Jack is the first to approach. After a brief exchange, Jack hands over his card. Jack has barely stepped away when the Bald brothers push through. Seo Mun-yeop knows them. They used to run underground arms dealing tied to dungeon operations. Baek Ha-yeon leans in quietly. They're out of that business now. They own a warfire club. Nathan, one of the three giants, is on their roster. That clicks everything into place for Seo Mun-yeop. He asks them straight, are they here to recruit him? The Bald brothers smile, genuine enough. Landing the world's #1 would be incredible, of course, but we'd never pressure anyone into something they don't want. Right now, it's Baek Ha-yeon we're interested in. We want her on our roster. Seo Mun-yeop laughs. You've got good taste, I'll give you that. But are you sure this isn't just your way of getting to me? They insist, absolutely not. They made the decision after watching Baek Ha-yeon's match, full stop. Of course, if you wanted to join too, we wouldn't complain. Seo Mun-yeop stares at them. Your agenda is written all over your faces. Still, if Baek Ha-yeon joined their club, she'd have real room to grow. He sends the Bald brothers off thinking that's the last of it for tonight. Just as he and Baek Ha-yeon are about to slip away for a card game, a voice stops him again. Seo Mun-yeop exhales sharply. Are you serious right now? Apologies for the interruption. My name is Yang Min-yang, government secretary. Are you familiar with the transcendent merit system? Seo Mun-yeop blinks. Isn't that just a pipe dream? Yang Min-yang explains. The system has been in effect for 17 years. Everyone simply assumed Seo Mun-yeop was never coming back, so they intend to release all 17 years of accumulated rewards to him at once. The exact figure, 2,568,000,000. After the charity banquet wraps up, Lim Jin-tae tracks Seo Mun-yeop down. He's not happy. You went way too hard today. Those national team kids are completely shattered. Seo Mun-yeop shrugs. As the head of the association, sounds to me like you're the one who's not up to the job. There's nothing left to say. Inviting Seo Mun-yeop to this charity match is probably the biggest regret of Lim Jin-tae's life. He asks directly, will Seo Mun-yeop take the technical coach position for the national team? He's already put in the request. A generous salary is on the table, but Seo Mun-yeop just smiles. He has other plans. Between the merit system payout and his existing savings, he now has 16 billion. So he's going to become a club owner and build players himself. When he gets back home, there's a woman waiting around the corner of the street. It's Shulan, one of the 7 heroes. Seo Mun-yeop breaks into a cold sweat. Shulan has never been good at hiding her feelings. What is this about? Please don't let it be revenge. It's been years. Seo Mun-yeop can't help himself. He activates his analysis eye. Every one of Shulan's attributes has hit the ceiling, and she's gained a new skill, a tracking ability. She's come a long way from the girl he used to know. He walks up. You here for revenge? Shulan smiles faintly. I'm not as petty as you think. I just came to confirm you were really back, and now that I have, I'll be going. Before he can get a word in, she turns and walks away. Seo Mun-yeop and Baek Ji-ho exchange a look. Neither of them understands what just happened. What Seo Mun-yeop doesn't know, 17 years ago, that girl had already quietly given him her heart. But Seo Mun-yeop, a true Sigma male, is not the type to fall so easily. Back home, Seo Mun-yeop dives straight into researching clubs. Baek Ji-ho sees he's serious and offers to pitch in financially if needed. Even a B1 club, he could buy it and hand it over. Seo Mun-yeop gives him a look. Quick question though, what's B1? Baek Ji-ho explains. B1 and B2 are standard 11-player league tiers. B7 is a 7-player format, lower operating costs, but the talent pool is thinner. Seo Mun-yeop thinks it over. B2 it is. He's not a miracle worker. He can't turn a room full of deadweights into geniuses. He calls Lim Jin-tae. Does he know of any clubs currently on the market? Lim Jin-tae points him toward Hanjin Club. After Lim Jin-tae recommends Hanjin Club, Seo Mun-yeop quietly goes to watch one of their matches, and that's when he spots her, Lee Na-yeon, a bench player. What catches him completely off guard? Her agility growth ceiling is a perfect 100. On top of that, she has a skill that lets her leap 20 meters. He doesn't hesitate. 5.1 billion. The club is his. Everyone else thinks he's lost his mind, but Seo Mun-yeop has no doubt he will take them to B1. As evening falls, Seo Mun-yeop arrives at the club alone. He takes in the worn-down training facility, a quiet sigh. The place is rough. Then someone calls out, outsiders aren't allowed in here. Then realizes this is the new owner. The attitude flips instantly. Seo Mun-yeop throws an arm around him. Don't call me boss, call me big brother. Work hard. I'll give you a raise next year. Choi Dongjun is the club's coach. He takes Seo Mun-yeop on a full walkthrough. 14 players on the current roster. Seo Mun-yeop gets a feel for the place. The equipment is old, but there's space, plenty of it. What matters most right now is the players. In the break room shortly after, Seo Mun-yeop meets the girl known as Lee Na-yeon. The sudden summons from the boss catches Lee Na-yeon completely off guard. Seo Mun-yeop points out her weaknesses, then declares he will turn her into the team's main player. Lee Na-yeon freezes. I've been a permanent bench warmer. I've barely ever played. Are you sure? Absolutely. I'm going to turn you into the Phantom Trickster. Lee Na-yeon is completely lost. What on earth is that supposed to mean? Is her boss out of his mind? Seo Mun-yeop explains. Her edge is speed. Push that speed to the limit, and pair it with her bow to cause chaos behind enemy lines. In other words, she can constantly steal kills from the opposing team. The moment the enemy loses their temper, she uses her speed advantage to vanish. Because she's disrupting their hunt, they can't let her go. But because of her speed, they can't catch her either. That's how she breaks their entire strategy apart. And the battle plans he has built around Lee Na-yeon, there are many more to come. As long as she puts in the work, who knows, she might even make the national team one day. At those words, Lee Na-yeon nearly screams with excitement. Seo-mun-yup cuts her off immediately and waves in the next person. Let's see how many more hidden gems are waiting to be shaped. This scrawny, four-eyed kid turns out to be a hidden master of swordsmanship. Ji-hun has always been the team's support. He has a skill that uses focus to generate a barrier, but his weapon and physical technique cap sits at 95. Seo-mun-yup calls him in and tells him, starting today he is no longer a support. From now on he will compete as a close-range fighter. Ji-hun just stares. I've always been a support. You called me in out of nowhere just to tell me this? Seo-mun-yup is done. He tells Ji-hun he has real talent in swordsmanship, and this isn't just empty talk. Still, Ji-hun remains skeptical. After all, his burst power and agility scores are both low. Frustrated beyond belief, Seo-mun-yup fires back. That's because you always hide behind everyone else. And he absolutely hates that. Yes, every team needs a support, but only someone with at least 2 skills can truly function in that role. Ji-hun only has one, the barrier skill. So he's going to equip him with a weapon right now. Ji-hun asks quietly, so, you're training me to be a sword-wielding support? That does it. Seo-mun-yup completely loses it. Are you even listening to me? Why are there so many oddballs in this club? From now on, you are a close-range fighter. End of discussion. If you're still dreaming about being a support, go ahead and wait to get fired. So, do you want to change your fate, or are you going to keep drifting along? Ji-hun hesitates for just a moment, then grabs Seo-mun-yup's hand. I'll work hard to become a proper close-range fighter. After the meeting, Seo-mun-yup tells Choi Dong-jun to find Ji-hun a sword instructor and to start building the whole team's endurance. Choi Dong-jun stares blankly. Will this actually work? Relax, I'm the world's strongest. Back home, Seo-mun-yup is deep in thought. He doesn't even bother watching the shows he normally loves. Baek Ji-ho notices and asks with concern, is it the club? He heard there are only 14 players. Shouldn't he recruit more? That snaps Seo-mun-yup upright. He glances at the mob of paparazzi camped outside the door, and a bold idea hits him. He does need more players. And right here, there just happens to be free advertising. Without another thought, he leaps out of the building. Friends of the press, you work so hard just to make a living. I'll answer every single one of your questions, but first, one condition. Get the word out right now that I'm recruiting. Once Seo-mun-yup spreads the word through the media, applications pour in by the thousands. But after going through the resumes, it's a parade of rejects. Seo-mun-yup is about to explode. Still, he sifts through them patiently. Then one resume stops him cold. A delivery worker. Stats as average as it gets, yet he carries 2 skills, item transfer and vision transfer. At the interview, Seo-mun-yup meets the delivery worker, Jo Sung-ho. Choi Dong-jun stares at the resume in disbelief. How did someone with stats like this even make it past the screening? He's about to ask if there's been a mistake when Seo-mun-yup quietly activates his analysis eye, and what he finds stops him in his tracks. This guy has 3 awakened skills, and one of them is forward transfer. That ability is not only rare, its tactical value is enormous, and yet he didn't list it on his resume. He probably doesn't even know he has it. Seo-mun-yup turns to Choi Dong-jun. Is he the same age as Lee Na-yeon? Choi Dong-jun blinks. Yeah, but what does that have to do with anything? Seo-mun-yup ignores him, fixing a sly grin on Jo Sung-ho. Fate really does work in mysterious ways. Jo Sung-ho, your resume shows nothing but delivery work, so why are you applying to be a Warfire player? And honestly, your stats don't exactly scream player material. Jo Sung-ho clenches his fists and answers without hesitation. I know my stats are poor, but becoming a Warfire player has been my dream for as long as I can remember. Others might call it wishful thinking, but I mean it this time. Seo-mun-yup is thoroughly satisfied. He asks, how has Jo Sung-ho been performing long-distance item transfers? Jo Sung-ho explains, when the distance is too great, he uses focus to sense the general location. Seo-mun-yup lights up. That ability can be used for scouting too. Turns out you're more useful than I thought. They say every great phantom trickster needs an outstanding scout behind them. Jo Sung-ho, you're in. And you and Lee Na-yeon are going to be the perfect duo. The two of you will be the core of the Hanjin Club going forward. Let's show our opponents exactly what the trickster strategy can do. 2.5 months later, Seo-mun-yup has finally shaped Lee Na-yeon and Jo Sung-ho into the ultimate trickster duo. Now comes the match, where everything is put to the test. Following Seo-mun-yup's battle plan, Lee Na-yeon uses her speed to harass the enemy without stopping. Every time the enemy moves in for a kill, she swoops in to mess it up. Meanwhile, Jo Sung-ho tucks himself into a safe spot and keeps Lee Na-yeon stocked with arrows via item transfer. As for her safety, Ji-hun has her covered. The trickster strategy leaves the crowd completely speechless. Watching it play out on screen, Seo-mun-yup laughs until he tears up. Baek Ji-ho's wife turns to Seo-mun-yup with a look of disbelief. This was your idea? Why don't you come help my husband too? At that, Seo-mun-yup can't hold back his frustration. He had suggested putting Choi Hyuk in his tank and dropping Shim Young-soo ages ago, but Baek Ji-ho just wouldn't listen. Just then, the commentator cuts in with a match update. Lee Na-yeon is completely surrounded. It looks looks like she's about to go down. Jo Sung-ho transfers a vision of the safe escape route to her. In a flash, Lee Na-yeon moves like a ribbon in the wind, leaping through enemy lines without pause. I'm losing my mind. Someone catch that little trickster. The enemy is furious. Every single player drops their hunts and charges after Lee Na-yeon. In no time, she's cornered at the edge of a cliff. Nowhere left to run now. Lee Na-yeon just grins. Oh, we'll see who's running. Before anyone can react, a massive rock materializes behind her. Her teammates, fully armed, are gripping onto it. The commentators are stunned. A floating island, used to deploy the entire squad in an instant. The enemy team, so busy chasing Lee Na-yeon that they never had time to build up, stands no chance against the fully developed Hanjin Club. Game 1, Seo-mun-yeop's team wins 9-0. Lee Na-yeon and Jo Sung-ho become the stars of the match. Amid the waves of cheering, Lee Na-yeon looks down and finds Seo-mun-yeop in the crowd. See? I told you. I'd turn you into the best starter on the team. Seo-mun-yeop gives her a big thumbs up. His words hit like a shot of adrenaline. Don't worry, I won't let you down. In the second round, the team runs the same strategy and takes another win. This tournament burns the name of YSM Club into everyone's memory. It's their first victory since the club was renamed. Lee Na-yeon and Jo Sung-ho take over every headline. Fans online go wild. Only a captain of the 7 heroes could lead a team of eternal underdogs to victory. A few days later, Baek Ji-ho tracks Seo-mun-yeop down. Did you really pick those players yourself? Do you think they'd perform just as well in the national team? Seo-mun-yeop gives him a look. If you have the energy to ask that, spend it on getting Choi Hyuk. It's been this long. Why isn't he in the national team yet? Baek Ji-ho sighs. Choi Hyuk agreed to come play as tank, but his club's owner is strongly against it. Then what's his transfer fee? If you can't handle it, let me sign him. A few more weeks pass. Seo-mun-yeop's team reels off 5 straight wins. Coach Choi Dong-jun is beside himself with excitement, but Seo-mun-yeop tells him not to celebrate too soon. Right now, the priority is building the team's endurance, and he hands Choi Dong-jun a target. By the end of the season, a 50% win rate. Choi Dong-jun turns to stone. The highest Hanjin club ever reached was 31%. Choi Dong-jun figures it must be a joke, but team captain Ro Jong-hwan doesn't see it that way. 50%, once completely unthinkable for Hanjin club, but he trusts that his boss doesn't say things without reason. He may carry a carefree devil-may-care attitude every day, but every decision he makes is the result of careful calculation. So now it's the player's turn to give something back. Then Seo-mun-yeop makes an announcement. If the team hits 50% this season, he will pour in more funding. The room erupts in applause. He steps out right after, but there's one thing he didn't tell them. Their current strategy isn't without a flaw. The moment an opponent locates the hidden Jo Sung-ho, the whole strategy collapses. More tactics require better resources. Sponsors have been coming in, but no one sponsors talent. Just as Seo-mun-yeop is wrestling with this problem, a message comes from Baek Ji-ho. Go check out the youth league. Most of the top prospects have already signed, but there might still be some hidden gems left. Seo-mun-yeop's mood lifts instantly. You better wait for me, kids. With the tip from Baek Ji-ho, he starts hunting for hidden gems, school by school. But when he arrives, reality hits hard. Even players averaging around 70 in stats have already been snatched up, just as he's about to call it quits. A late student comes running in. Seo-mun-yeop assumes he's just another unremarkable prospect, but one casual glance nearly knocks him off his feet. Yoonbyum's stats are nothing special, but Shadow Walk, that skill was made for an assassin. Without the analysis eye, no one in the world would ever spot this kid and the extraordinary ability he carries. Seo-mun-yeop moves to sign Yoonbyum right then and there. Yoonbyum is startled. You don't even know me, why would you offer me a spot? My strength is low, my speed is low, even my ability is ordinary. Seo-mun-yeop narrows his eyes. Are you questioning my judgment? I'm the one who discovered Lee Na-yeon and Jo Sung-ho. Ji-hun used to be a nobody of a support. I found him too. Even so, Yoonbyum can't shake his self-doubt. Seo-mun-yeop explains, his ability is tied to his personality. It falls under the shadow attribute, and that can be changed with effort. He offers a deal, 3 years. If Yoonbyum wants out at the end, he'll receive 300 million in compensation. That number stops Yoonbyum cold. He asks if he can talk it over with his mother first. Seo-mun-yeop grabs him. What's there to discuss? Let's go. Back home, Yoonbyum's mother happily hands over her son without a second thought. With this first success, Seo-mun-yeop heads into the rest of his scouting with full confidence. But the reality is brutal. Nearly every school has been cleaned out. By evening, he reaches the last school on his list, and what he finds there irritates him even more. There's clearly a student here with solid stats and a strong ability, but the kid is stone-cold stubborn. He says warfire is just a hobby to him. What he really wants is to become a writer, one who brings people dreams and hope. Seo-mun-yeop is about to lose his patience. Then the word writer catches his ear. A plan forms instantly. He tells Choi Jong-min he was the hero who brought the world dreams and hopes 17 years ago. His biography has been published for years. His life is a novel. Write it out, and it would be a dark fantasy unlike anything the world has seen. He even hints at sharing untold stories from inside the dungeons, but only if Choi Jong-min joins the team. At that, Choi Jong-min can't hold back any longer. He signs on the spot. From this point on, Seo-mun-yeop's team finally begins to take real shape. Just as he's leaving, Choi Jong-min calls after him. Why can't he find any weaknesses on Seo-mun-yeop? His observation ability can pinpoint the weaknesses of national team players. And someone as perfect as you, why become a club owner? If you competed instead, wouldn't that mean? Before he can finish, Seo-mun-yeop cuts him off. I have no interest in bullying beginners. After all, I'm just a living legend. After learning that Choi Hyuk still hasn't been selected for the national team, Seo-mun-yeop heads straight to Twin Star Club that same day. The security team forms a wall outside, so he puts on a quick combat display right there on the spot. And just like that, Seo-mun-yeop strolls right in. Taking in the gleaming towers all around him, Seo-mun-yeop can't help but think, money really is a beautiful thing. Other other teams get to train on proper tracks. His team climbs a mountain every single day, all because his club sits 500 meters up the side of a mountain. Just then, the club manager intercepts him. Knowing Saemun Yeop is not someone to mess with, the manager tries to smooth talk him out the door. Saemun Yeop doesn't buy it. He goes straight to the point. Why is Choi Hyuk being kept out of the national team? The manager breaks into a cold sweat. Coach Choi Moon-sung won't agree to reposition Choi Hyuk as tank. What does that have to do with me? That's what he thinks. But he smiles pleasantly and says they're working on it. Saemun Yeop wastes no more words and heads straight to the coach's room. The moment Coach Choi Moon-sung sees Saemun Yeop, he can't bring himself to make eye contact. Saemun Yeop is puzzled. Have we met before? Your face is really familiar. Choi Moon-sung panics immediately and denies any connection, but it doesn't take long. Back in 1993, at the entrance to the Vengeful Spirit Temple dungeon, an unprecedented large-scale raid that involved nearly 200 transcendents, Saemun Yeop, a rising talent at the time, was among them. He was 18 years old. Choi Moon-sung, 24 at the time, used his age as an excuse to defy orders. He triggered a trap on his own and added 9 full hours to the raid. When they came out, Saemun Yeop nearly beat him to a pulp, and now, after all these years, of all people to run into. The moment he realizes Saemun Yeop has recognized him, Choi Moon-sung gives up completely. All these years I even grew a beard, and you still recognize me. Surely that old mistake doesn't deserve another beating? Saemun Yeop puts on his most innocent smile. Of course I'm not here about the past, but you've made a new mistake. Doesn't that one deserve a beating? And you're going to hand over Choi Hyuk, or I'll tell the press everything about what happened back then. Let them do a nice big story on the brilliant decisions of a twin star club coach. Choi Moon-sung has nothing left to fight with, but when he names Choi Hyuk's transfer fee, Saemun Yeop laughs. Your club is swimming in money, and you're asking this much from a humble little owner like me? Does that seem fair to you? I wonder what your life is worth by comparison. Choi Moon-sung panics. Right now, Saemun Yeop looks like nothing short of a demon in his eyes. He barely gets out an offer to knock off 200 million. When Saemun Yeop smiles and says, and then, after a round of very friendly negotiation, Choi Moon-sung hands over Choi Hyuk for 50 million. A few days later, Choi Hyuk arrives at YSM Club with his bags. Saemun Yeop steps outside to welcome him in person. You're finally here, my tank. Looking at the man who changed his fate, Choi Hyuk's eyes are full of anticipation. He believes with everything he has that under this man's leadership, YSM Club will one day stand among the best in the world. But Saemun Yeop is still wrestling with one problem. Despite the string of oddballs he's recruited, the total roster sits at just 18, not nearly enough for 11-on-11 scrimmages. Then he notices his niece Bae Ka-yeon studying the language of Country B. After asking around, he confirms it. She's joined the Bald Brothers Club in Country B. Bae Ka-yeon asks Saemun Yeop to go with her. He's not particularly interested, but the agent mentions that the Bald Brothers have had a custom weapon made just for him, and since Saemun Yeop is recruiting, heading to Country B might turn up something new. After all, the Warfire League allows up to 5 foreign players per team. That settles it. He heads to Country B without hesitation. Word gets out that Saemun Yeop is coming too, and the Bald Brothers show up at the airport to meet him. They also bring along a wall of media cameras, all to generate buzz for their club. Saemun Yeop stares blankly. They're treating him like a walking ATM. But the worst is still to come. Every piece of clothing he's given is plastered with the Bald Brothers logo. It feels like even the air he breathes is being sponsored by them. If it weren't for Bae Ka-yeon, he would tear this whole place apart. The Bald Brothers run a basic assessment on Bae Ka-yeon. The results satisfy both sides. The Bald Brothers offer to sign Bae Ka-yeon for 4 million on the spot. It's not much in Saemun Yeop's eyes, but joining a club in Country B is a huge step forward for Bae Ka-yeon's future. Saemun Yeop says nothing, just offers his congratulations. Then, without warning, an uninvited guest appears at the door. The moment Saemun Yeop sees him, his eyes sharpen. It's Nathan, one of the 3 giants. Saemun Yeop assumes he's here to start trouble, but Nathan is so polite it's almost awkward. Saemun Yeop quietly activates his analysis eye to check Nathan's stats. Almost every stat is maxed out, and his clone skill fits perfectly with his overall ability profile. A transcendent built purely for combat. No wonder Gerald could never break into the 3 giants. The fans always knew. The truth is, Nathan desperately wants to fight Saemun Yeop, but being their first meeting, he can't quite bring himself to say it. Saemun Yeop notices Bae Ka-yeon staring a little too intently and quietly warns her not to get any ideas about a man like that. Bae Ka-yeon tells him to relax. She already has a type. Her mother leans in, curious. Bae Ka-yeon says she likes rugged men, and as she says it, she glances at Saemun Yeop with pure admiration. That look says everything. Her battle-hardened mother understands in an instant. Saemun Yeop, you shameless man. Even your own niece? The Bald Brothers' other reason for inviting Saemun Yeop to Country B, a custom-made weapon just for him. It's a portable spear. Channel focus energy into it, and the spear shifts form, becoming a razor-sharp blade. It's the first time Saemun Yeop has seen technology like this, and he's genuinely impressed. The Bald Brothers say they've made 5 of these for him, and with the dungeons gone, as long as he takes care of them, they'll last indefinitely. Accepting the gift, Saemun Yeop almost feels embarrassed, but the Bald Brothers wave it off. The weapon isn't exclusive to him, but a spear used by Saemun Yeop, even a replica would sell like crazy. Unbelievable. You two are playing me. You want me as a free spokesperson? The Bald Brothers tell him to calm down. It's not free. They'll pay 1.5 million per year in endorsement fees, and every time Saemun Yeop carries the spear in a match, they'll add another 3 million on top. For the money's sake, Seomun Yop agrees, but he has no idea this is only the first step in the Bald brothers' scheme. He signs the contract in good spirits. Then the Bald brothers ask if he remembers Clause 2. The signee must not discard the weapon and must carry it at all times. Seomun Yop stares blankly. Why would I throw it away? The Bald brothers explain. Since he's not a registered Warfire player, the weapon can't pass through customs. To avoid breaching the contract, he has to register as a professional player right here. Seomun Yop looks completely trapped. He knew these two were up to something. Sensing the incoming explosion, the Bald brothers quickly explain. Joining the association comes with no obligations or restrictions whatsoever. If anything, it only opens up more options. He can step onto the field whenever he chooses. Seomun Yop lets out a long, helpless breath. It doesn't really change much, but getting played by these two is deeply, deeply irritating. When she hears the news, Baek Ha-yeon claps with delight. Congratulations, you landed a sponsorship deal and registered as an official professional player. I do hope you'll join our team though, then we could fight side by side. Just then, Nathan walks over. I heard you got a new weapon. Feel like putting it to the test? There's a practice match tomorrow morning. It'd be pretty interesting if you showed up. Taking in Nathan's barely contained competitive fire, Seomun Yop grins. You really don't hide that fighting spirit at all, do you? Alright then, see you on the field tomorrow. The next day, Seomun Yop arrives at the training facility with Baek Ha-yeon. As the world's strongest, his arrival instantly draws a crowd. Suddenly, a massive figure steps in front of him. Seomun Yop assumes trouble is coming, but the next second, the man is grinning from ear to ear asking for an autograph. Kichi Lucasta, one of the club's core players and apparently a huge fan. With the autograph in hand, Kichi beams like a kid on his birthday. He also promises to look after Baek Ha-yeon going forward. Eyeing this mountain of a man, Seomun Yop casually activates his analysis eye. Every stat except focus clears 90, and he carries 3 separate abilities. Nathan may be the team's ace, but this man is irreplaceable in his own right. Stack him up against Nathan or Gerald. He holds his own without question. Seomun Yop stares at the third ability, puzzled. How does someone end up with something like that? Does this guy just really love nature? Nathan walks over and fills him in. Kichi is remarkable beyond the field. Outside of competing, he runs a charity dedicated to protecting the world's forests. Noticing Nathan's wide smile, Seomun Yop asks what he's so happy about. Nathan looks almost shy. Because my dream is about to come true. For the new generation of transcendents. Seomun Yop is their idol, and the wall every one of them burns to surpass. 17 years ago, the world assumed Seomun Yop was gone for good. The transcendents who once followed him had long since stepped away from the fight. But the debate over who truly was the world's strongest transcendent never stopped. Nathan was the name brought up most often, second only to Seomun Yop himself. But deep down there was always one thing he regretted, never getting to fight the man known as the world's strongest. Now that dream is almost within reach, and Nathan can barely contain his excitement. Just then, Coach Kobin arrives at the training ground. After a brief introduction, he announces that today's session will be different. Seomun Yop and Nathan will each lead a team in a full combat match. As for how teams are selected, they'll settle it with rock, paper, scissors. The rosters are filled out quickly. Both teams are then transported into a virtual space. What surprises Seomun Yop? It's just a straightforward arena. None of the layered complexity of a dungeon. So they want a direct head-on clash between Nathan and himself. That suits Seomun Yop just fine. The only question left, between a legend of the old era and a rising star of the new, who truly stands on top? Even though this is a team match, everyone instinctively clears the space around the two of them. Nathan opens first, using his superior speed. His twin blades slash toward Seomun Yop in a relentless storm. But Seomun Yop is a legend of a different era. His unified spear and shield flows without a gap. Shield blocking, spear thrusting, seamless and total. Every blade that seemed unstoppable is turned aside. They separate briefly, then Nathan charges in again. He knows that at range, twin blades are at a disadvantage. The only way is to keep pressing close and force Seomun Yop to react. But no matter how sharp his swordsmanship, Seomun Yop remains completely composed. Even the openings Nathan thinks he's spotted are nothing more than traps left on purpose. After 300 exchanges, Seomun Yop finally gets serious. The solid spear drives forward again and again with crushing force. If not for his superior speed, Nathan would have no chance of avoiding those devastating strikes. And what stuns him even more, Seomun Yop's unified spear and shield moves like flowing water. Aim for the spear and you get hit by the shield. Aim for the shield and you get pierced by the spear. And there's no breaking out of his attack range. He always holds the exact distance that makes a counterattack nearly impossible. This is the man who earned the title of the world's strongest. Not a single crack to be found. Nathan steadies himself. There's only one option left, a flash of light, and two Nathans stand side by side, his clone skill finally unleashed. At the sight of it, something shifts in Seomun Yop's eyes, so the clone finally shows up. On the sidelines, Coach Kobin and the Bald brothers react with disbelief. Nathan's weapons being suppressed, that has never happened before. And for the past stretch of time, Seomun Yop has only fought underground enemies, no dedicated sparring against other transcendents. Nathan, on the other hand, has dedicated himself to studying how to defeat human opponents. But now that the clone is on the field, things might just shift. 4 flawless blades at once, not something most people can handle. The two Nathans close in fast. He expects Seomun Yop to do what every other opponent has done, back away. But Seomun Yop doesn't move an inch. Within seconds, hundreds of strikes fly. Not one of them lands. This is a battle with no visible path to victory. But judging by the damage left in Seo-Mun-Yup's wake as he falls back, Nathan isn't doing much better. And honestly, Seo-Mun-Yup has to admit it, Nathan's speed and blade work are sharper than he expected. In a straight one-on-one, his technique score is enough to keep Nathan in check, but the moment Nathan activates his clone skill, the number of attack angles multiplies exponentially. At this rate, there's no way this fight ends quickly, and the longer it drags on, the worse it gets for Seo-Mun-Yup. Looks like there's only one option. It's time to gamble. In the middle of a rapid exchange, Seo-Mun-Yup deliberately drops his guard. Nathan, hungry for the win, takes the bait. His clone surges forward in an instant. One clean strike, and Seo-Mun-Yup's spear arm is severed. The crowd outside is stunned. His arm is gone. Surely this fight belongs to Nathan now. But then, Seo-Mun-Yup smiles. Thanks, Nathan. I knew you'd press the attack no matter what. You've been waiting for this moment for a long time. So naturally, after landing what you think is the finishing blow, you let your guard slip. Just for a split second, but that's all I need to hit even the fastest human alive. His fist comes down like a hammer. Nathan's clone vanishes instantly. Nathan isn't done yet. Clone gone, but his real body still stands. He grabs his weapon and charges again, but this time, his blade freezes just inches from Seo-Mun-Yup's face. Blocking his path is Kichi. Call it a draw, but our team still wins. No matter how intense the fight gets, never forget this is a team sport. Stepping out of the virtual pod, Nathan can't help but reflect. Seo-Mun-Yup just gave him a lesson he won't forget. Just then, Coach Kobin walks over with the Ball brothers. Trading an arm to take out one of Nathan's clones, Mr. Seo-Mun, you never cease to amaze. Seo-Mun-Yup smiles and asks if there's another round. He says if he can review the footage from that match, he might just find a way to counter Nathan for good. Coach Kobin's eyes light up. If Seo-Mun-Yup is being this generous, he's not about to hold back either. He leads Seo-Mun-Yup straight to the club's analysis room. He introduces the room's head analyst, Sana. Seo-Mun-Yup activates his analysis eye to take a look. Sana's stats are nothing special on the surface, but if he's running this place, he's clearly got something most people don't. Sana explains that times have changed. Transcendents no longer rely on the underground people to analyze their data. Now they use the Enhanced Analysis System, the EAS. It records every detail of every match and converts each player's stats into clean, readable data. Most top-tier clubs are already running it. As Sana talks, Seo-Mun-Yup finds himself intrigued. He doesn't personally need it. He has his analysis eye. But for his coaching staff back home, this could be a game changer. And with hard data to back him up, maybe that stubborn Mule Dong-jun will finally stop arguing with him. Still, 3.4 billion. That gives him pause. Then an idea hits him. He turns to the Ball brothers. Let's make a deal. I'll hand over all my combat data. In exchange, you give me one of these systems and someone who knows how to run it. The Ball brothers are instantly sold as his biggest fans. They've spent years collecting every piece of footage they could find of Seo-Mun-Yup in action. Getting his actual combat data, that would complete the collection. They agree on the spot, no hesitation. Seo-Mun-Yup grins. Don't worry, you're not losing on this deal, because the second match is going to give you something to talk about. He steps away and splashes some water on his face. And just like that, a new superpower appears. Enhancement. Choose any existing ability and boost it. Any stat plus 10 points. Seo-Mun-Yup blinks. When did this happen? Superpowers awaken through personal traits, or through a sudden surge of focus under intense conditions. So when did this one unlock? Was it during the fight with Nathan, when his concentration peaked? Or is it tied to his willpower sitting at 110? Either way, this skill is completely overpowered. Several of his stats are already capped at 100%. Push them past the limit and he becomes untouchable. Perfect timing. Round 2 against Nathan starts soon. Might as well test it out on him. The countdown hits 0. Round 2 begins. Seo-Mun-Yup activates enhancement on his technique score. His technique breaks through the cap, all the way to 110. He hurls the spear with full force. It screams through the air like a drill. The speed alone leaves Nathan speechless, but before he can even react, the spinning spear curves mid-flight right in front of his face. It obliterates his clone on contact. Surprised? Nathan's mind goes completely blank. He replays what just happened. The spear accelerated and changed direction mid-air. Is this the hidden weapon he's been sitting on? But there's no time to figure it out. Seo-Mun-Yup is already charging in. Nathan tries to create distance, but the spear follows him like it has eyes of its own, and Nathan is down. Round 2 is over. It took even less time than the first. Nathan is burning with curiosity. He wants one more round. Seo-Mun-Yup was planning to take a break, but after enough pestering, he agrees. Round 3 starts. Nathan activates his clone skill without a moment's hesitation. Ha! Clones right at the start. Looks like you've picked up a thing or two. The spear spins in his grip, facing Nathan's double clone. Seo-Mun-Yup enhances his technique again. At 110, he's in complete control, 4 blades coming at him, and he handles every single one with ease. He has the upper hand in combat, but Nathan's raw speed still edges him out. Seo-Mun-Yup glances at the teammates standing behind Nathan, and just like that, a wicked idea takes shape. You want to play? Fine. Let's play a different game. If I can't catch you, I'll just get into your head instead. He vaults over and dives straight into Nathan's teammates. Seo-Mun-Yup goes on an absolute rampage. Sure enough, watching his teammates fall one by one, Nathan starts losing his cool. He charges in fast, but Seo-Mun-Yup already has 2 spears waiting for him. Alright, game over. Round 3 ends. Nathan loses completely, but Seo-Mun-Yup can't stop singing his praises. After these 3 rounds, Nathan is without a doubt a top-tier transcendent. No wonder Gerald never made it into the 3 giants. The gap between those 2 is massive. Still, he gives Nathan one piece of advice: work on his strength score. There's still room to grow there. With the day's sparring done, Seo-Mun-Yup finally has a moment to himself. He's been dying to test out enhancement on his other skills. After enhancing his analysis eye, 2 new properties appear, the ability to observe through recorded media, and expanded stat visibility. He turns his analysis eye on himself to try it out. 2 hidden stats appear, leadership and tactics, both sitting at 100. No wonder he became the captain of the 7 heroes. Next, he enhances his throw skill. It gains a new effect. He can now recall any thrown weapon back to himself. It costs focus to use, but the utility makes it more than worth it. That just leaves one more, the undying skill. Seomun Yup feels a flicker of nerves. He has no idea what this one will do. The moment enhancement activates, his limbs begin shifting into spirit form, and it's spreading, crawling across his entire body. A brilliant flash of light. Seomun Yup is now a fully formed spirit body hovering in midair. For 120 seconds, he transforms into a focus-formed spirit body, immune to all attacks and able to pass through any physical object. Seomun Yup is speechless. This is beyond broken. He bursts out of the room in excitement. Not only can he phase through walls, he can fly freely through the air. He's basically a ghost. Just as he's about to head back, a dark and familiar presence washes over him. His eyes sharpen. That's the aura of the underground people. He locks onto their location and breaks into a grin. Those rats are still alive. Now that's exciting news. He launches his spear toward the target like a missile. It hits dead on. He lights up. He can feel it. The underground person took the hit. But just as he moves in to check, a system alert flashes. 120 seconds are almost up. He's about to return to his physical body. Are you kidding me? I haven't even found them yet, he curses. Snapping back into his body in the hotel room, he slams a fist into the wall to vent his frustration. Just as he prepares to enter spirit form again and go after them, their presence vanishes completely. Meanwhile, in a dimly lit shrine somewhere in the shadows, a cloaked figure stands over a subordinate, voice low and sharp. Buried in the subordinate's side is a spear, the exact one Seomun Yup just fired. The underground people never disappeared, and soon they will return. A few days later, the Ball brothers arrive with Sana in tow. He'd asked them for an ES unit and a trained operator, and Sana is the one they found. Seomun Yup scans him with his enhanced analysis eye. Sana's 2 hidden stats are remarkably high. On top of that, his superpower grants him extraordinary concentration. No wonder his regular stats are average, yet he's been head analyst for 3 years. This guy has real depth. He asks Sana straight up, any regrets? After all, his club is sitting dead last. Sana admits he never would have agreed before, but after watching Seomun Yup's combat footage, he changed his mind, taking a last-place club in a second-tier league and building it into a world-class team. That's a challenge worth taking, and one that would do wonders for his career. But he has one condition. Seomun Yup must compete as a player at least 3 times within the year. It's not that Sana doubts his own ability. Any team with Seomun Yup can win. The real reason is simpler. He doesn't want his instincts to go dull. With YSM's current roster being fairly average, he needs to witness top-level competition to stay sharp and find inspiration. And he promises, within 1 year, he will lead YSM to the championship. Seomun Yup thinks it over for a moment, then he agrees. Back home, Seomun Yup introduces Sana to the team. Sana wastes no time. After a brief introduction, training begins immediately. With the ease up and running, every player's stats are now fully quantified. It makes the day-to-day training sessions far more efficient. The team's chemistry impresses Sana, but one thing he can't wrap his head around. Why on earth did they recruit some of these transcendents? Take Jo Sung-ho. His stats across the board are borderline terrible. Sana sees absolutely no growth potential. Sure, he has useful skills, but with stats like that, he's a liability. Sana makes a fair point, but Seomun Yup sees things differently. His enhanced analysis eye picks up hidden stats the EA simply can't detect. Jo Sung-ho's leadership and tactics scores are both looking very promising. With the right development, he could become the team's second in command. Sana pauses at this, but he quickly nods and says he'll take Jo Sung-ho under his wing personally. Sana moves on to Choi Jong-min and Yoon Beom. Choi Jong-min is solid, strong skills and decent stats, no issues there. But Yoon Beom, does he really deserve this much attention? His superpower feels underwhelming to Sana. Seomun Yup knows exactly why Sana feels that way. The EAs can't read the hidden properties of Yoon Beom's skill. His focus score is already at 69, just a little more, and that skill will transform completely. Seomun Yup tells Sana not to worry. He's never misjudged a player yet. Sana is taken aback by that kind of confidence. He opens his mouth to respond, but Seomun Yup cuts him off. Just be patient for a few days, trust me, we're about to hit the jackpot. 2.5 weeks in, Sana is completely sold on Seomun Yup's eye for talent. Looking at the daily training footage, Ro Jonghwan, Jihan, Lee Na-yeon, Jo Sung-ho, and Choi Hyuk, the 5 players Seomun Yup handpicked are now the undeniable backbone of the team. A month ago, Sana never would have believed it, especially not Choi Hyuk. He assumed Seomun Yup would slot him in as a striker, but after studying the data closely, he discovered that Choi Hyuk has a superpower that enhances his physical endurance. Without careful observation, the EAs alone would never have caught it, and that makes Seomun Yup's judgment feel all the more extraordinary. Meanwhile, Yoon Beom, still waiting on his hidden skill to awaken, is starting to lose heart. Choi Jong-min, a full year younger than him, is already a starter on the team, and Yoon Beom can barely keep up with basic training. He approaches Seomun Yup with a heavy look. Did you make a mistake picking me? Seomun Yup gives him a flat look. Didn't I already tell you? Your superpower evolves through effort, though I'll admit there's a bit of a gamble involved. Are you seriously gambling with my life right now? What did you think this was? A vacation? Looking at the defeated expression on Yoon Beom's face, Seomun Yup knows something has to change. He grabs Yoon Beom and heads up into the mountains. Along the way, he tells him there's a method he's been saving, specifically for training focus. Focus has a unique quality. It grows most powerfully in a power spot, a place that resonates with who you are. Take himself, for example. His focus surges inside a dungeon. The moment he steps into one, he feels alive, like he actually matters. And it all traces back to something something that happened to him as a child, in the orphanage. Everyone carries scars, he says. The ones who face them head on are the ones who get close to something real. And with that, he leads Yoonbeom to the entrance of a cave. Before Yoonbeom can even ask what's happening, Seomun-yeop kicks him straight in. You've got 10 days down there. Sit with it, your loser mentality, your dark outlook, all of it. And throw your phone up here. If I catch you sneaking out before time's up, you're finished. Yoonbeom stares up with the look of someone who's given up on life. But as he replaces life in his head, the words start to land. Has he really just been that much of a failure? He takes a breath and steadies himself. Wait, if the world's #1 hero says he can do this, then he can. He closes his eyes and focuses, feeling the current of focus move through him. And just like that, 10 days pass. When he finally crawls up to the cave entrance, Seomun-yeop points his enhanced analysis eye at the security feed on his phone. Ha! There it is, jackpot. Yoonbeom drags himself out and spots the security camera. He's about to complain, but Seomun-yeop's voice comes through first. You've still got time before the second half of the season. Use it. Get familiar with your new superpower, because the first match coming up, that will be your first time taking the field as a starter. The first match of the second half arrives. YSM versus GT Knights. Right from the start, GT Knights split into 3 squads in a 4-4-3 formation. YSM counters with 2 5-man squads, and Yoonbeom moves out alone. The crowd is stunned. The map for this match is the inverted forest, and the Zadron lurking in that terrain are not something one person can hunt alone. On the field, GT Knights' 4-man squad has already hit their first wave of monsters. Just as they move in to engage, an arrow cuts through the air. Lee Na-yeon, playing her usual role as the disruptor. But after half a season of this, other clubs have figured out how to deal with it. GT Knights came prepared. They've brought a transcendent with a perception skill. They ignore Lee Na-yeon's harassment entirely and start tracking Jo Sung-ho's location. Their sensor locks on. Someone is hiding behind a boulder 1 kilometer out. Has to be Jo Sung-ho. The 4-man squad breaks into a sprint toward the target. Lee Na-yeon watches them go and smiles to herself. Good. Phase 1 is working perfectly. The squad reaches the boulder and finds their target. But when the figure pulls back the hood, the GT Knights players freeze. It's Choi Hyuk, the tank. At the same moment, their other squad rushes in from nearby, and they spot Jo Sung-ho wearing Choi Hyuk's gear. That's when it hits them. They walk straight into a trap. Jo Sung-ho activates item transfer, sending the gear back to Choi Hyuk instantly. Choi Hyuk then tosses a backpack straight at the GT Knights players. The little scrubs catch it completely thrown off. Inside, Zadron seeds. From the very start, this was YSM's plan. One squad pretends to hunt while secretly gathering seeds. The seeds get sealed in a focus blocking bag, transferred via Jo Sung-ho and delivered right into enemy hands by Choi Hyuk. The moment the bag opens, the seeds drink in the surrounding focus and explode into growth. Vines erupt in every direction, coiling around the GT Knights players and pinning them in place. Now it's YSM's time to clean up. Meanwhile, GT Knights' 3-man squad gets the word. Their other team has been wiped. Their leader tells the second squad to stay calm, finish off the Zadron in front of them and regroup immediately. While the Ball brothers fight hard against the monsters, one of their teammates is just standing there, frozen. Annoyed, he walks over after clearing the monsters. The moment he touches the player, the figure drops. The announcer's voice rings out across the field. Yoonbeom, 1 kill. The Ball brothers are completely thrown. What the? Did that just happen? A shadow is already closing in. The real predator lurking in the dark is about to strike. With his skill advantage, Yoonbeom secures a double kill. But when he turns to the Ball brothers themselves, their reaction speed is on another level. A direct ambush won't work here. Before the match, Seomun-yeop had coached him on this. If a sneak attack fails, with his current stats, going head-to-head isn't an option. So he prepared 2 weapons for him, a crossbow and a short blade. Yoonbeom bursts out of the shadows with the crossbow raised. On the sideline, Seomun-yeop watches with quiet satisfaction. The crossbow has a short range, but it's easy to use and accurate. The fact that Yoonbeom read the situation and switch strategies on the fly, that's exactly what he wanted to see. Still, for someone making his first real appearance, holding his own in a direct one-on-one is a tall order. Just don't give up. As long as you keep going, there's always a way out. Out of bolts, Yoonbeom switches to his short blade and charges, but mid-charge, a small stone catches his foot and sends him tumbling. He eats dirt hard. The Bald brothers stare in disbelief. What kind of strategy is this? Before they can figure it out, Yoonbeom slips into a crack in the ground and disappears. Damn it, that was embarrassing. So you can slip into shadows. Is that your whole trick? Yoonbeom pauses. This guy hasn't figured it out yet. Perfect. Time to use that. Yoonbeom surges out of the shadows again. The Bald brothers are getting irritated. You little rat, if it weren't for that skill, you'd already be dead. Take this. The blade sweeps across, but Yoonbeom doesn't dodge. It catches him just a finger's width from his midsection. A real hit. The Bald brothers narrow their eyes. Why didn't he dodge? He could have used Shadow Walk? Then the answer clicks. The skill must have a limit. It can't be used indefinitely. If that's the case, no more holding back. Yoonbeom is barely holding it together, but that was the plan all along. He's been playing weak from the start, drawing them in, and now the moment is finally here. The long blade comes crashing down toward Yoonbeom's face, but when the strike lands, the blade drives straight into the ground. Swing that hard and you're not getting it back out. It finally hits the Bald brothers. The skill has no limit at all. He was baiting them the whole time. In that split second of hesitation, Yoonbeom flashes behind them, blade already drawn. Forgot to mention, I don't need to hide in my own shadow here, because this entire map is already inside the shadow of the inverted forest. Watching Yoonbeom land the kill, Seomun-yeop breaks into a warm, proud smile. Today's match went even better than expected. At this rate, taking the championship is practically a done deal. But if they aimed for the world championship instead, wouldn't Wouldn't that be something worth chasing? Ever since Sana joined the club, Samwon Yop has barely had to think about team matters. One day, he's at home, idly watching a show, when an old friend shows up at the door. Eric Toulon, one of the last 7 heroes, the star of Country B, known as the Axe God. Turns out, when Toulon heard Samwon Yop was in Country B, he wanted to catch up, but he ran into trouble in the middle of the ocean and lost some time, so he followed him all the way back here. Looking at this big, straight-faced man standing in his doorway, Samwon Yop feels a genuine warmth. Toulon carries 2 skills, bad luck and survival instinct. No matter how hopeless things look, he always finds a way through. Baek Ji-ho's wife steps out of the room at that moment, and her face lights up when she sees one of her husband's old brothers in arms, a full table of food, and the 3 of them eat until they're completely satisfied. Toulon tells Samwon Yop there's actually something he brought for him. He reaches into his bag and pulls out a glowing stone, a dungeon return stone. Samwon Yop's eyes go wide. Back in the age of transcendence, these things were everywhere, practically disposable. But now, to him, it's priceless, because with this, he can go back. Toulon stays for 2 days, and then packs up and heads out. On his way out, he tells Samwon Yop to come visit when he gets the chance. Samwon Yop sees him off, and immediately starts packing. Baek Ji-ho watches, confused. Where are you off to this early? My secret base, of course. Before Baek Ji-ho can say another word, Samwon Yop is already on his bike and gone. Out in the mountains beyond the city, Samwon Yop hikes through with his pack, retracing old paths. He still can't believe Toulon was sitting on something like this. With this stone, he'll finally be able to get to the magic stones, the monster hides, all the dungeon treasures he stashed away. The thought alone fills him with energy. He pushes deep into the mountains at full speed. Before long, he arrives at a cave entrance sealed behind a massive boulder. Behind that boulder, a dungeon entrance. This is it, his secret base. Back then, if you cleared a dungeon and used a return stone to exit without destroying the core, you could leave behind a ghost dungeon, empty, intact, and invisible to the outside world. Samwon Yop had set this one up specifically as a place to store his spoils. He never imagined he'd get the chance to open it again. The familiar air of the dungeon fills his lungs, and he feels it immediately. That old thrill. He thought he'd adjusted to modern life, but standing here now, he realizes that was never true. The dungeon is where he belongs. But just as he lets himself sink into that feeling, a strange presence flares up behind him, then vanishes just as fast. Samwon Yop frowns. There shouldn't be anything alive in here. The entrance showed no signs of forced entry. Unless, he tightens his grip on his spear. Could the underground people still be alive? Now that would be exciting. Right now, more than anything, he needs a real fight, to let out all that raw, untamed energy building up inside. He charges toward the central chamber of the dungeon. Just as he crosses the bridge and closes in on the entrance, a beam of light fires straight at his face. He halts and throws himself back. He looks up, and his excitement drains away instantly. Standing in his way is a massive, oversized Zadron. Not the underground people, but this thing can still give him a decent workout. And judging by the size of it, everything in his storage has probably been devoured. Zadron are creatures that will eat just about anything, including their own waste. They also serve as crops for the underground people. Zadron store focus inside their bodies, and the underground people harvest it directly from them. But why would one be in here? Could he have missed a Zadron seed when he cleared this place? It's possible, but Samwon Yop is thorough. Every time he cleared a dungeon, he turned the whole place over and destroyed every last seed. He can't make sense of it, but that can wait. Deal with it first. The Zadron lashes out with its vine tendrils. Samwon Yop grips his spear with both hands. Without taking a single step, he deflects every strike. The moment an opening appears, he activates Enhanced Throw without hesitation. The spear blasts forward like a missile and drives straight through the creature. A thunderous impact, and the Zadron collapses. That was it? Hardly satisfying. He recalls the spear and starts venting his frustration on the corpse, striking it over and over, as if that's the only way to get it out of his system. An hour later, every last seed has been cleared. He keeps one, just as a memento. He heads into the storage area, just as he suspected, cleaned out completely. But there's one room the Zadron could never touch, the sealed stone chamber, where the dungeon core is kept. He had placed a seal on it years ago, and stored his magic stones inside. The door shows no signs of damage. He pushes it open and steps inside, and stops cold. The chamber is empty, nothing left but the core itself. To humans, magic stones are just glowing rocks, but to the underground people, they're the equivalent of oil and coal. Could there really be an underground person in here? Then his eyes land on something on the floor. Wait, isn't that my spear? The moment he confirms it's his, everything clicks into place. What he sensed back in Country B was no illusion. That underground person fled and ended up here. After a closer look around, the picture becomes clear. If he's reading this right, the underground person has been farming Zadron inside this base, and this chamber must have been rigged with some kind of alert system. Then, a dark, eerie presence erupts from behind him. He turns. A cloaked figure materializes in a haze of deep red. Samwon Yop breaks into a wide, delighted laugh. You damn underground people, you really are still alive. Nearly a year back on this earth, and he's been starving for this. The feeling of being back in a real dungeon fight. The rank of underground people is determined by the color of their focus, and the level 3 red focus underground person standing before him is exactly what he was hoping for. The underground person sees the mocking look on his face and lets out a roar. Filthy human, why are you here? Samwon Yop lets out a quiet, dangerous laugh. Filthy human? What if I told you that your entire civilization was destroyed by the very humans you're looking down on? How would that make you feel? But honestly, humanity owes you people a debt of gratitude, because you were our prey. Just like you harvest Zadron, we hunted you, and the rewards let us live very, very well. We made a killing off of you. At that, the underground person can hold back no longer. Red focus energy takes the shape of massive serpents rising up behind him. Seomun Yop raises his spear in response, ready for battle. The serpents surge toward him at full speed. Then an explosion rings out, and Seomun Yop is gone. You know, the main core of your sacred site is the biggest one I've ever seen. Seomun Yop circles his opponent with ease. His spear thrusts relentlessly, and the underground person desperately blocks with focus energy. But something else shocks him even more. The main core of the sacred site is never shown to outsiders. Even lower-ranked underground people are forbidden from seeing it. How does this human know? Seeing the look of total confusion on his face, Seomun Yop grins. Forgot to introduce myself. I'm Seomun Yop, the one who destroyed the last dungeon 17 years ago. That name sends the underground person into a rage. Seomun Yop is the sworn enemy of their kind. He launches a frenzied attack. But this is exactly what Seomun Yop wanted. His spear works like a drill, tearing through the enemy without mercy. Spinning, thrusting. The spear moves like a guided missile, pinning the underground person straight into the wall. Seomun Yop strolls toward him unbothered. What a disappointment. I didn't expect your attacks to be so predictable. He activates his analysis eye. The stats are indeed trash, and the target's rank is nothing more than an underground scout. Underground people have no names. They identify themselves by role. The scout's job is to locate focus sites. Think of them as reconnaissance units. Seomun Yop grabs the spear lodged in the underground person's chest. He shoves it deeper. Where are the rest of your people? That white focus underground person I fought at the sacred site. Do you still have someone like that? Right, I think they called him the High Priest. The underground person glares through gritted teeth. You really are an arrogant human, but you'll be meeting our ancestors soon enough. The great ancient light has foretold it. The prophet has arrived on this land. He will lead us into the light. Even as the words leave his mouth, the underground person triggers self-destruct. The explosion echoes through the entire dungeon. When the smoke clears, he is nothing but a charred husk, barely clinging to consciousness. Then he sees Seomun Yop, now standing in spirit form. The underground person's eyes light up with excitement. Great prophet, have you come to lead me into the light? Seomun Yop clicks his tongue in annoyance. Did the explosion fry your brain? Just die already. Seomun Yop had planned to turn this dungeon into his future home, but an unexpected underground person has left the place in ruins. Looks like he's stuck living with his sister-in-law for life. But what really puzzles him is the mention of the ancient light. And what exactly is this prophet? Could there really be a prophet who has already completed their spiritual awakening? He remembers hearing similar things from the underground people 17 years ago, during his dungeon raids. If any of it is true, then why didn't the underground people foresee their own destruction? And even if a prophet has appeared, rebuilding the underground civilization won't be easy. Back then, he destroyed every single magic stone in the dungeons. And according to researchers at the time, it would take at least 10,000 years to rebuild the underground people's sacred core city. Setting everything else aside, they simply don't have that kind of time. The underground person he just fought was nothing more than a desperate survivor, barely hanging on. The thought leaves Seomun Yop a little disappointed. He had hoped for a real fight. Instead, all he got from that underground person was despair and fear. In the past, underground people would call for backup before self-destructing, but this one didn't even have the energy to try. Seomun Yop clicks his tongue. Boring. Time to head home. Not long after he leaves, a flash of light appears deep in the dungeon. An underground person steps into the room, surveys the bodies scattered across the floor, and lets out a long sigh. What a waste of that, Zadran. But what's really interesting is, Seomun Yop is still alive. This time I will tear that man apart. At that moment, a white-haired man steps forward. Greetings, third generation. Meanwhile, Baek Ji-ho spots Seomun Yop coming back so early and teases him. What, did you go hiking? Bring me back any wild ginseng? Seomun Yop gives him a flat look, then he holds out a bottle. How much is this worth these days? Baek Ji-ho takes it completely baffled. A second later he freezes. Where did you get a Zadran seed? Seomun Yop shrugs. Found it in a storage room. Figured I'd bring it back. Baek Ji-ho breaks into a cold sweat. Do you have any idea this thing could wipe out an entire city? Besides Warfire players, 99% of people in the city are ordinary civilians. Doesn't matter. I'll step in if anything happens. Just tell me what it's worth. As far as I know, there are still organizations researching underground civilization. I'm just trying to contribute to their work and make a little cash on the side. Relax. Baek Ji-ho stares at him speechless. There is one organization, but for something like this, you'll need to go through our boss, because that organization is the World Warfire Association. Meanwhile, Lee Na-yeon, trained under Seomun Yop, is becoming increasingly gifted at disrupting her opponents. That confident look, combined with movements that flow with perfect precision, makes every opponent who faces her want to take her down on the spot. Looking over Lee Na-yeon's status panel, Seomun Yop feels genuinely satisfied. He doesn't show up at the club often, but Lee Na-yeon's improvement has been massive, and her tactics growth is off the charts. Once her stats are fully leveled up, she could become just as much of a hot commodity as Nathan. The day she becomes YSM's signature star, there's going to be serious money to be made. After all, more than half the crowd at recent matches is there for her. Compared to her, Yoon Baeum barely has any fans. True to his trickster role, he only emerges from the shadows when he's absolutely sure of the kill. By the time the crowd even spots him, he's already disappeared again. Before long, YSM wins their final regular season match and advances to the playoffs. Baek Ji-ho shows up to congratulate Seomun Yop and lets him know he's also there on behalf of the World Warfire Association to officially collect the Zadran seed. Seomun Yop gives him a look of pure contempt. You were the one freaking out about it. I can't believe the association took this long. I thought you weren't going to bother. Baek Ji-ho shifts the subject a little awkwardly. YSM is really at the top of its game right now. but the playoff teams are no joke. You confident about taking the championship? Seomun Yup grins. Stop asking me questions with obvious answers. That kind of confidence catches Baek Ji-ho off guard. Do you have some kind of secret weapon up your sleeve? Just watch. At this very moment, YSM's head coach Sana is giving an interview. The host asks what his plan is for the upcoming playoffs. Sana glances at her calmly. The championship trophy belongs to us, simple as that. Even the host is taken aback by his confidence. Sana explains that before coming to Country A, their owner had made him a promise. Frankly, he feels a little sorry for the competing teams, because their owner, Seomun Yup, agreed to personally compete in 3 matches within a year. Hearing this, Baek Ji-ho nearly drops his glasses. Are you seriously cheating? With Seomun Yup as the club owner, the players can't exactly say anything, so they accept the reality of winning on easy mode. Sana then lays out the battle plan for the team. Their first playoffs opponent is ICBC, ranked 3rd overall. Targeting YSM's strategy specifically, ICBC recruited Han Sung EOP in the last transfer window, a player with the tracking superpower. His individual stats aren't impressive, but his skill lets him lock on to 5 opponents at once and track their every move. This completely shuts down Yoon Beom and Jo Sung-ho. The moment they're locked on, they're as good as useless. On top of that, this skill gives ICBC a real-time read on the battlefield before anyone else. Seomun Yup tells everyone to relax, he's already got a plan. This time, he's teaming up with Jo Sung-ho. There's something he wants to test. Match day arrives quickly. After weeks of online buzz, Seomun Yup's participation has become a global talking point. Country A's once overlooked secondary league is now the center of worldwide attention. The moment Seomun Yup steps out, the crowd erupts. All this fame and he has no idea what to do with it. Even the usually quiet Four Eyes can't help himself. Boss, can you tone it down a little? The two sides meet before the match. Every single ICBC player looks like they've bitten into something rotten. Pure misery on their faces. YSM, on the other hand, couldn't look more relaxed. With the boss on the roster, this one's basically already won. Seomun Yup activates his analysis eye right away. Just as expected, not a single real threat in sight. The match begins. Jo Sung-ho, as always, heads straight for a safe position. Only this time, he's carrying a pair of binoculars. The countdown ends and everyone charges out according to the plan. Everyone except Seomun Yup, who's still standing at the starting point, casually stretching. On the other side, ICBC's 6-man squad finishes their first round of hunting. From the very start, they've been using Han Sung ELP's skill to track Seomun Yup and his teammates. Their plan is to drag out the match and close the gap through hunting. In the Warfire system, collecting kill points boosts focus and overall stats. Use this mechanic wisely, and even a weaker team can close the gap against a stronger one. Going head-to-head with Seomun Yup from the start would be suicide. So ICBC cuts their close-range fighters and loads up on ranged attackers. Their strategy, track Lee Na-yeon, Jo Sung-ho, and Yoon Beom from a safe distance and take out the support squad first. Of course, this plan depends on 2 conditions. First, YSM has to run their support tactics. Second, don't run into Seomun Yup before they're fully powered up. By now, Greasy Hair Captain's focus has shifted to purple. Just as they start to think they actually have a shot at this, a spear flash shoots straight at Greasy Hair Captain's face. He twists his head to dodge, but Han Sung Eop behind him takes the full hit straight through the chest. Everyone is stunned. Seomun Yup hasn't even left the starting point, and he's already landing throws from that distance. Heh, looks like this one works. That's right. Ultra-long range throw combined with weapon recall lets Seomun Yup wipe out the entire field without taking a single step. And the one feeding him the vision? Jo Sung-ho, binoculars in hand. Throwing his spear through someone else's line of sight, now that is next-level teamwork. The clueless ICBC scrubs are completely dumbfounded. Greasy Hair Captain frantically calls for the second squad, only to hear they've been ambushed by Seomun Yup. He's lost all hope. We can't even see him. How are we supposed to fight this? This is Seomun Yup's brand new strategy, using Jo Sung-ho's line of sight to land his kills. At first during training, Seomun Yup couldn't find his aim at all. After all, there's distance, wind, and angle to account for. But he found his groove fast. It's like playing cards with a partner in the dark. You just know exactly where to land it. With this move, he goes on an absolute rampage. It's like an appetizer he simply can't stop eating. Sana's verdict, mind-blowing, absolutely unmatched. Watching all this, Baek Ji-ho is completely dumbfounded. Blind throwing? Fine, he could wrap his head around that. But weapon recall? After all these years by Seomun Yup's side, he's never once seen him use that move. At this point, the ICBC players are on the verge of tears. Not only do they have to watch out for Seomun Yup's spear strikes from nowhere, even the monsters they're about to hunt keep getting sniped away by him. Anything he sets his sights on gets pierced, no exceptions. And the worst part? He's clearly enjoying himself more with every kill. Greasy Hair Captain finally loses it. Let's pull back, now! At that exact moment, a spear launches through the air. Greasy Hair Captain throws everything into a desperate block with his shield. The spear slams into the ground. The scrubs let out a breath that was way too close, but they completely miss it. A shadow stretching out ahead of the spear, caught in the refracted light. Seomun Yup calls Yoon Beom over. You can't just keep lurking in the wings. Time to earn your spot. That's right, Seomun Yup uses the shadow cast by his spear to teleport Yoon Beom directly in. Get ready for a trickster's feast. Meanwhile, the rest of YSM's roster has fully powered up. From this point on, even if Seomun Yup doesn't lift a finger, the result is already decided. The match ends. Seomun Yup is the undisputed MVP. To a roaring crowd, he walks off to the locker room. Sana says the match delivered massive visual impact, and the crowd response was incredible. Seomun Yup lets out a quiet laugh. Then let's wrap up the show. Starting now, I'm playing for real. The second match between YSM and ICBC takes place in Thousand Bridge City, a cylindrical tower built from countless bridges. Some bridges collapse the moment you step on them. Others are pure illusions. Every step has to be calculated. It also carries a nickname, the Rookie Crusher Dungeon. The moment the match starts, all of YSM's players dive straight into combat against the monsters. The undead spiders hunt living targets with their webs, cocooning them and turning them into zombie soldiers. The monsters are so lifelike they bring back memories of Saemun Yop's actual dungeon days. He takes stock of the numbers, then tells the team to handle the weaker zombies, and keeps all 8 undead spiders for himself. With that, he activates Enhanced Throw. 8 spears held between his fingers, both hands launch at once. The spears fly as if guided by their own eyes, each one zeroing in on a different undead spider. Explosions, shrieks, and the wet crunch of impact echo through the dungeon. The more he kills, the more fired up he gets. His own teammates can only stare. Did the boss come in fully buffed or something? In just 2.5 minutes, every monster in the area has been wiped out. Across the entire Warfire competitive scene, that kind of speed is absolutely explosive. Saemun Yop calls Jo Sung Ho over. He tells him to use focus transfer to share his focus energy with the rest of the team. Right then, a fierce shout rings out. Hands up, you're surrounded. Boss, what do we do? They've got us cornered on the bridge. Yellow hair grins with pure excitement. Let's see you get out of this one. Archers, move up. The whole scene cracks Saemun Yop up. I can't believe you idiots actually came up with this plan. The effort alone deserves some respect. So let's all enjoy the fall together. ICBC stands there completely lost. At this moment, Saemun Yop activates weapon recall. The spears he fired earlier are all on their way back. The key detail, they return at the exact same speed they were thrown, and that kind of force will tear through everything around them. Sure enough, the ground beneath everyone, teammates included, shatters, and they all plunge deep into the cylinder. Saemun Yop planned this from the very start. He knows the layout of this dungeon by heart, so before recalling his spears, he made sure his teammates were standing in the safe zones. Every YSM member lands on a real bridge. The ICBC scrubs, on the other hand, either land on illusions or hit the fake bridges that crumble on contact. But just watching them fall isn't enough to satisfy Saemun Yop. He wants to take out all 6 of them before they even hit the ground. Saemun Yop dives down like a god of death. 1 thrust, 1 kill. In just 2.5 seconds, he racks up 4 kills. Everyone watching outside is speechless. Is this something a human being can actually do? After the 5th kill, Saemun Yop locks on to the last one still falling. The spear drives into his chest, and Saemun Yop rides him down from above, feet planted on the scrub like a surfboard. Heh, human surfing for the finish. How's that feel? 1 strike, 1 kill, clean and effortless. The remaining 5 have completely given up. This guy has to be a demon. Swift as a reflex, smooth as silk, Saemun Yop steamrolls through everyone with sheer overwhelming force. Faster than you can blink, he single-handedly racks up 11 kills. Numbers like that would turn heads even at the World Championship League. The crowd goes absolutely wild. Best ticket they've ever bought, no question. The match ends. Lee Na-yeon rushes over to congratulate him, buzzing with excitement. Saemun Yop looks completely unbothered. What's the big deal about stomping scrubs? I did the same thing to the national team at that charity match. Lee Na-yeon breaks into a cold sweat. Easy for you to say. The ICBC guys are absolutely falling apart mentally. Saemun Yop tells Sana he won't be stepping in for the next match. He's already crushed their will to fight. The rest is just cleanup. If we can't close it out from here, we might as well pack up and go home. Before long, the first playoff series is over. YSM sweeps it 3 straight, a dominant total victory. In the second playoff series that follows, the same story plays out all over again. Saemun Yop uses sheer undeniable power to show the world exactly who stands at the top. The Bald brothers even put out a statement. They'd sell everything they owned to sign him. Meanwhile, in City L, Country C, one of the former 7 heroes and head coach of Steel Legion, Emre Casa, can no longer sit still. Among all the Warfire clubs in the world, 3 stand at the very top. First is Spark Club, run by the Bald brothers. Built around Nathan and Kichi, their roster is stacked. Next is Mobile Hub, centered on Gerald. And last is Steel Legion, led by Casa, with one of the 3 giants, Daniel Mans, on the roster. They consistently crush opponents with flawless strategy. Of these 3, Spark Club and Steel Legion share the deepest and most heated rivalry in the league. Put simply, whoever signs Saemun Yop wins the championship. Casa goes to his club owner and lays out his plan. The owner grimaces. He's always respected Casa's calls, but the bad blood between Casa and Saemun Yop is public knowledge. Back in the day, 17 years ago, Saemun Yop and Casa were constantly at each other's throats over how things should be done. The rest of the team just learned to live with it. The owner tells Casa straight, Saemun Yop is a bull no one can tame, especially not from a head coach's position. He tells him to calm down. Steel Legion may have been stuck in second place for ages, but they're still one of the best teams in the world. But Casa isn't having it. He fires off stat after stat, argument after argument. The owner gets worn down. Fine, just tell me, how much are we talking? Casa doesn't blink. To take him from the Bald brothers, we need to be ready to put up at least 180 million. The owner completely loses it. Do I even look like I'm worth 100 million myself? Meanwhile, Saemun Yop had only promised Sana 3 appearances in a year, yet here he is showing up in every single playoffs match. Even Sana, as head coach, can barely keep a straight face. Boss, can we keep a lower profile, please? I was hoping to use these matches to develop the players. You come in and wipe everyone out from the start? What's the point? Despite everything, Saemun Yop cheekily insists on one last match. While the two are still going back and forth, Choi Dong-jun quietly raises his hand. He's been getting a flood of transfer offers. Seo Yup stares at him. Why are you even telling me this? Reject them all. Boss, they're asking for you. Word is the transfer offer is up to 100 billion. At that number, Sana briefly entertains the thought of selling Seo Yup. With that kind of money, they could buy top-tier players and push for the National League. Seo Yup looks baffled. The National League? Shouldn't we be aiming for the World Championship League? Sana shakes his head. Not a chance. Even with your ability, you can only dominate in Country A. At the world level, pulling off 11 solo kills isn't going to happen. Seo Yup bristles a little, but he can't argue with confidence. He's seen Nathan's ability firsthand. If there were 11 players at that level on one team, even he might not come out on top. Seo Yup asks, what if they brought in some foreign players? That should do it, right? Sana stares at him. Who's going to come to a team like this? No housing, no car, no money. Miss any one of those and they walk. And the good foreign players are all already signed. At best, we're looking at unproven prospects. Even then, the growth ceiling in Country A's league is basically non-existent. Besides me getting dragged into this mess, there's almost no reason for anyone to come here. Seo Yup goes quiet. Looks like they'll need to find raw talent and build it from the ground up. After the playoffs wrap up, Seo Yup calls Sana and Choi Dongjun into his office. The team's 7 core players are set. He wants to bring in a fast support tank, as many close-range fighters as possible, and, most importantly, a solid ranged attacker. Lee Na-yeon has been outstanding, but her damage output is lacking. A stronger attacker would patch up the team's biggest weakness. He pulls out a list and hands it over. These are the players he plans to recruit in the winter transfer window. Sana picks up the list and reads. Choi Dongjun peeks over his shoulder. Then he freezes. Boss, are you serious? You actually want to recruit him? Easier said than done, though. The very first school Seo Yup visits turns out to be a dead end. Coach Fatty tells him the 2 players he's after, one has already been signed by Twin Star Club, and the other has retired. Young as he is, he inherited enough property from his parents to never work again. Seo Yup has no words. He turns to leave, but Coach Fatty stops him. There's a student named Young Min, graduated last year, but he's given up on Warfire and has no direction right now. Word is he's been hanging around with a bad crowd. Seo Yup clicks his tongue. Do you think I'm running a lost and found? Coach Fatty tells him, Young Min genuinely has talent. He used to play close range, fighter. He can tell Young Min doesn't belong with those people. He doesn't want to see that talent go to waste. Seo Yup thinks it over. So basically you want me to knock some sense into him and drag him back to Warfire. Fine, tell me where he is. Seo Yup finds Young Min at an internet cafe. Just like Coach Fatty said, his stat growth looks promising, but none of it has been developed. He's been wasting away for far too long. To avoid being recognized, Seo Yup puts on a helmet before approaching him. One of the thugs with Young Min takes offense immediately. Who does this punk think he is, rolling in here with that helmet on? Seo Yup doesn't bother holding back. He steps in and unloads a military combo on the spot. The other thugs pull out blades, ready to jump in for their friend. But at that moment, Young Min catches something in those eyes and recognizes him. He tries to stop the others, too late. By the time the dust settles after a thorough and enthusiastic beating, every last thug is on the floor. Seo Yup takes off the helmet and walks straight over to Young Min. Let's have a talk. At the corner of the internet cafe, a girl in a white cap has her phone pointed directly at Seo Yup. You guys, something huge just happened. The helmet guy beating up those thugs is actually Seo Yup. In seconds, footage of Seo Yup's beatdown goes out live to the world. After working through the full military combo, Seo Yup is in noticeably better spirits. He asks Young Min if he wants to join the club. Young Min doesn't budge an inch. He just casually turns back to his screen and queues up another game. He figures Seo Yup won't actually force him into anything. He figured wrong. After another thorough beating, Seo Yup grabs him and starts dragging somewhere private. Then he spots the white cap girl crawling on the floor with her phone. Are you filming me without my permission? Delete it before I lose my temper. The girl says it's not a recording, it's a live stream. Seo Yup stares blankly. Since returning to the surface, he hasn't caught up with any of this technology. He walks over, curious. The comment section is going completely wild. The moment Seo Yup's face appears on stream, someone drops 1,000 star candies. The girl loses it with excitement and breaks into an awkward dance right then and there. Seo Yup watches in stunned silence. Have young people really sunk this low? He gets a quick rundown on how live streaming works. Then he addresses the camera directly. What happened today was nothing more than educating a troubled youth. I have received an apology from the parties involved. And if any reporter watching this dares to twist the story, I will personally trace them down through the internet and educate them just as thoroughly. With that settled, he sends the girl on her way. He turns to Young Min. Why don't you want to play Warfire? Young Min winces. It's a long story. My parents divorced when I was young. I looked after my grandfather on my own, worked to support my grandmother, and on top of that my dad was hooked on cards and alcohol. Seo Yup's expression snaps. Did you not get enough earlier? Can you get to the point? Under Seo Yup's icy glare, Young Min gets to it. The truth is he did want to be a Warfire player. Back when he was still in the youth league, his drunk father accidentally set fire to the house. His grandparents nearly didn't make it. To protect them, he walked away from the game, and now the teammates he once competed with have all gone pro. Watching them hurts. He envies them deeply. Young Min's voice cracks as he talks, but he barely gets through half of it before Seo Yup lifts him right off the ground again. Enough with the drama. I'm asking you one thing. Do you want to be a player or not? I do, but I have one condition. Help me deal with my dad. Make sure he never touches a drink again. Seo Yup blinks. Unbelievable. You really are something, aren't you? After agreeing to the condition, Seo Yup's approach is as direct as ever. He teaches the man a lesson with his own bottle, making sure the sight of one will fill fill him with dread for the rest of his life. Compared to Young Min, the second recruit is far more cooperative. Kim Jin-soo, equipped with regeneration and sacrifice skills. As a tank, his strength score isn't high, but it caps at 80, with 91% willpower, 81% agility, and 88% endurance. These stats fit exactly the agile tank profile Sana had in mind. Following the standard recruiting process, Seomun-yeop asks what he considers his strengths. Kim Jin-soo doesn't hold back. "I'm strong and I work hard." Seomun-yeop laughs. He asks if he wants to join the club, expecting to need a longer pitch, but Kim Jin-soo agrees without a second's hesitation. After all, the whole world knows what happens to players Seomun-yeop develops. Meanwhile, Choi Dong-jun still can't figure out why the boss would put that particular name on the recruitment list. Sana doesn't see the issue. Sure, the guy has some mental baggage, but his stats are solid. Choi Dong-jun's face falls. You don't know the history between him and the boss. The player giving Choi Dong-jun such a headache is none other than Shim Young-soo, the very person Seomun-yeop once beat up. After Baek Ji-ho acted on Seomun-yeop's suggestion, Shim Young-soo was cut from the national team. Furious and humiliated, he drowns himself in alcohol day after day. What he doesn't know is that Seomun-yeop already has his eyes on him. And Seomun-yeop's method, as always, is to lead with his fists. You've been cut from the national team. Your value is about to drop through the floor, and your reputation will only get worse from here. But I'm offering you a chance to start over. Join my club. Shim Young-soo explodes with rage. Who do you think you are? You're the reason I got cut in the first place. You think I'm going to trust a single word you say? Seomun-yeop slaps him. Watch your mouth. Then comes another full and thorough beating. Shim Young-soo goes completely quiet. Seomun-yeop tells him to stay on his good side. One word to Baek Ji-ho, and he can get him back on the national team. He advises Shim Young-soo not to get any ideas. Back during the war, there was a troublemaker even worse than Shim Young-soo. After Seomun-yeop took him under his wing, that same troublemaker became a hero of Country S. If Shim Young-soo wants to make his championship dream a reality, the smart move is to stick with Seomun-yeop and follow his lead. With that, Seomun-yeop tosses him a business card and walks away. But when Shim Young-soo gets home, his father tells him straight out to join YSM Club. Shim Young-soo stares in disbelief. Didn't you hate Seomun-yeop? And what about Baek Ji-ho? Weren't you two always at each other's throats? His father speaks with quiet seriousness. How could I hate a man who saved the world? My problem with Baek Ji-ho was never personal. I just didn't want to watch a world-saving hero get dragged through the mud because of bad coaching. As a coach, Baek Ji-ho's abilities are questionable, no doubt. But if Seomun-yeop can use that connection to influence the national team, I'm all for it. And now YSM Club has Coach Sana on board. That's someone even the national team couldn't get their hands on. Shim Young-soo is completely lost. But Seomun-yeop can't stand me. Aren't you afraid sending me there will get me killed? His father chuckles. You know, Shulan and Kasa didn't get along with him either, but they still cleared the final dungeon together. Seomun-yeop even gave his life for it. His character is far bigger than you can imagine. Join YSM. I promise it won't be long before you come out a completely different person. 2.5 weeks of work, and they've only signed 3 players. 2 of them are problem kids, of all things. Coach Sana is finding his boss harder and harder to read, especially Young Min. He genuinely cannot see what the kid has to offer. In fairness, it's not Sana's fault. The EAS system only reads a player's current stats. It can't show their ceiling. Seomun-yeop tells him to be patient. The kid has been drifting for a year. He just needs time to get back on track. Still, even Seomun-yeop has to admit the roster is running thin. He's out of options in Country A. Every promising player has already been signed, and the ones left are too set in their ways to work with. Sana suggests he look abroad. After all, Warfire allows up to 5 foreign players per team. After a long day, Seomun-yeop gets home to find Baek Ha-yeon has returned. After her time away training, every one of Baek Ha-yeon's stats has improved. Looks like the Bald brothers actually put in real work when it came to developing her. What surprises Seomun-yeop even more is her leadership and tactics growth. Both are remarkably high. She might actually be captain material. Just then, Baek Ji-ho walks in unexpectedly. Seomun-yeop hasn't put away his analysis eye yet and gives Baek Ji-ho a quick side glance. Leadership 51, tactics 62. Seomun-yeop is speechless. No wonder the national team fell apart under his coaching. It all makes sense now. He lets out a long sigh and tells Baek Ji-ho not to push himself so hard anymore. He knows he's already doing his best. Baek Ji-ho stares at him, completely baffled. Later, over dinner, the topic of recruitment comes up. Baek Ji-ho mentions that if they're looking for foreign players, Country T might be worth a visit. Baek Ha-yeon lights up at the idea. She immediately says she wants to come along if Seomun-yeop is heading to Country T. Apparently she's heard that every transcendent in Country T is a fan of Seomun-yeop. Up to 70% of fighters there use a spear. That puts Seomun-yeop in a great mood. He agrees on the spot to take her along. Baek Ji-ho's heart sinks. Is Seomun-yeop really about to leave him home again while he goes off with his daughter? Baek Ha-yeon tells her father not to worry. This time it's just going to be her and Seomun-yeop. And so the two of them board a plane and head to Country T. The moment they step out of the airport, Seomun-yeop notices someone waiting for him. It's Timur, a transcendent who once fought alongside Seomun-yeop. He didn't make it into the 7 heroes, but his strength ranked within the top 20. Seomun-yeop didn't expect him to show up in person. Timur explains he saw it on the news. On top of that, Timur is now the president of Country T's Warfire Association and runs his own club. When he hears that Seomun-yeop is out scouting foreign talent, he immediately invites him to take a look at his club first. Seomun-yeop sees no reason to refuse and follows him over. But the moment they arrive at the club entrance, a flash of spear light suddenly shoots out. Seomun-yeop dodges in an instant. A split second later, a sleek figure comes charging straight at him. After a few rapid dodges and shifts, Seomun-yeop creates some distance between them. He looks up. It's a girl with long hair. You're Seomun-yeop, right? I'm Senya. Can we spar? Before Seomun-yeop can even respond, Timur smacks her on the head, raising a big bump. Turns out this girl Sanya is Timur's daughter. Seomun-yeop blinks in disbelief. Are you sure you've done a paternity test? Timur tells him to quit joking joking around. If Baek Ji-ho can produce a daughter like that, why can't I? Saemun Yup turns back to Sanya with disbelieving eyes. He activates his analysis eye and freezes. Every single one of Sanya's stat growth values is off the charts, and her muscle boost skill is even more insane. It boosts her strength score by 40%. Saemun Yup lets out a sharp breath. Among every woman he knows, her stats trail only Shulan's natural talent. She's already blown past Baek Ha-yeon's potential ceiling. If her potential is fully unlocked, she could stand shoulder to shoulder with monster-level players like Nathan and Kichi Lucasta. He steps forward and asks what position she plays. Sanaya says tank. Saemun Yup eyes her muscular build with a grin. So I heard you want to fight me, grab your gear and let's go. The two of them step into their respective virtual pods and appear in the arena. Like Saemun Yup, Sanya's weapons of choice are a spear and a shield. The moment she lowers her stance and leans forward, Saemun Yup catches a flicker of himself in her form. Sanya lets out a fierce battle cry. She hurls her spear with full force. In the blink of an eye, it's already inches from Saemun Yup's face. He tilts his head just enough. The spear grazes past him. From that single throw, Saemun Yup deduces she has already activated muscle boost. Her current strength score is 72, and with the skill active, it jumps to 101. That number alone is formidable, even without any throwing-based skills. Before he can dwell on it, Sanya charges again. Her spear whips through the air relentlessly. Saemun Yup weaves and dodges, reading her every move. Her maximum strength score is 87. With muscle boost activated, that shoots straight up to 122. That's far beyond what Saemun Yup anticipated. And her close-range combat is solid too. With a quick assessment locked in, Saemun Yup launches his counterattack. The moment he deflects her spear, he drives forward in a burst of speed. His own spear moves like a living blade, thrusting rapidly toward her. Sanya cries out in surprise and twists away, pulling back to create distance. She chose to retreat instead of blocking. Her shield control clearly isn't there yet. Makes sense. Tanks are built to absorb damage, so most are more comfortable with a shield than a weapon. But Saemun Yup carries a shield for two very different reasons. First, he uses his exceptional technique score to read incoming attacks in advance and block every hit. Second, it comes from an honest understanding of his own limits. Compared to other tanks, he's more agile, but his raw strength falls slightly short. In other words, his loadout isn't the most powerful combination, but it's the one that fits him best. That style, however, doesn't suit Sanya at all. Her strength score is sky high, and with better shield technique, she would make a very solid tank. But her agility and speed are exceptional too. Locking her into heavy armor would be a waste. Sticking to the current style throws away the full potential of muscle boost. The question pulls Saemun Yup into a dilemma. Should he keep her as a tank or develop her into a fighter? But that's a question for later. Right now, he needs to finish this fight. Saemun Yup's figure flickers, and he closes in fast. His spear drives forward with brutal force. This time, Sanya is ready. She plants her feet and raises her shield, determined to block his killing blow. But she's underestimated him. One powerful thrust, and the shield is sent flying. Saemun Yup's powerful hand shoots straight toward her. Sanya is caught completely off guard and gets slammed to the ground. The dust settles. Saemun Yup's fist stops just inches from Sanya's face. He doesn't have a scratch on him. He looks down at the girl pinned flat on the ground. Saemun Yup gives a sly smile. I went easy on you for that last one. The match ends. Saemun Yup is impressed. He asks whether that fighting style came from her father. Sanya explains that because she's naturally strong, her father had her train as a tank, and since Saemun Yup is the idol of every tank player, she built her fighting style around his. Saemun Yup sighs. He tells her the reason he uses both a shield and a spear is to distribute force evenly to both sides, so he's always ready to dodge or counter at a moment's notice. But with Sanya's strength score being so high, gripping a shield causes her to overcommit her force, which stiffens her movement and makes it nearly impossible to switch quickly between offense and defense. He tells her plainly, the current style doesn't suit her. To bring out her full strength, she needs to ditch the shield and switch to dual spears as a close-range fighter. But before he can even finish, Sanya turns her head away and flat out refuses. Saemun Yup's temper flares up instantly. Who does she think she is, ignoring his advice? Timur quickly steps in and tells him to calm down. He's spent 2.5 years around Saemun Yup. He knows exactly how fast that temper ignites. He pulls Saemun Yup aside. The reason his daughter refused is simple. He just doesn't understand how women think. To her, you're her idol. Using the same equipment as her idol is a lifelong dream. Saemun Yup kicks him in response. What's the point of that? Timur looks at him with a wounded expression. This girl has worked for over 10 years with you as her inspiration. Please don't crush that. That stops Saemun Yup cold. She reached this level in only 10 plus years. She's an absolute diamond in the rough. Barely containing his excitement, he steps forward and grabs Sanya by the shoulders. Sanya, I'll take full responsibility for you. How about coming to country A with me? Behind him, Baek Ha-yeon looks on in alarm. He just went straight in for the recruit. Saemun Yup is getting a little too popular, but Sanya turns him down without hesitation. She's heard the World League has been reaching out to Saemun Yup recently. If he abandons country A and joins the World League, what's the point of joining his club? She might as well use her father's connections to enter the World League directly. The rejection makes Saemun Yup rethink his approach. Sanya is a high-potential player with real talent. A transfer fee of 100 million would certainly solve a lot of problems for him. But if he invests in training her properly, she could earn him that same 100 million down the line. His mind made up, Saemun Yup speaks up. He tells Sanya he won't be joining the Bald Brothers League, and if he ever does go, it will be with her by his side. Sanya's face breaks into a smile. Then it's a deal. Don't you dare back out like some kind of player. And just like that, Sanya follows Saemun Yup back to country A. But Baek Ha-yeon says she has urgent business in country B and splits off from them early. Maybe she's jealous of Sanya, or maybe it really is urgent. Hard to say. When Baek Jiho hears about it, his face goes dark. Has his daughter been stolen away? But Seomun Yeop doesn't give it a second thought. All his attention is on Sania now. To sharpen Sania's spear technique, he has Coach Sana bring in a world-renowned spear instructor from Country B, Maxim Blanco. At Seomun Yeop's instruction, Sania puts on a demonstration for the new coach. Inside the virtual testing room, Sania asks Seomun Yeop what monster he used for his own assessment. He tells her it was Sarlban. Sania tells the coach to set one up for her too. She starts warming up, working through every part of her body methodically. Then she walks slowly towards Sarlban. Even as the monster begins charging up its power, she remains completely calm. A laser beam suddenly blasts out. The ground where she stood moments ago explodes. When the smoke clears, a deep trench has been carved into the arena floor. But just then, Sarlban senses something moving above its head. It looks up. Sanaya is already airborne, spear in hand. A piercing streak of spear light descends from above. The monster doesn't even have time to react. Sanaya's spear drives straight into it. A thunderous blast. Sarlban is obliterated. Coach Blanco, watching from outside, is left completely speechless. The moment the test ends, Sania eagerly asks Seomun Yeop what he thinks. Seomun Yeop tells her not to get ahead of herself. He could do what she just did with his eyes closed. He tells her she has 1 month to follow every word the coach says. That's the only way she'll truly transform. Sanya looks reluctant. You said you'd take responsibility for me. Why are you handing me off to another coach the moment we're back? Seomun Yeop tells her to relax. He's busy, but when it comes to her training, he's paying attention. Blanco only steps in when he's not around. And honestly, as a world-class instructor, Blanco might even have the edge over him in some areas. But one thing he can promise, by the time the season starts 1 month from now, they will make her the star of the opening match. A month flies by. The first half of the season finally kicks off. YSM Club faces off against CBC Club, a veteran team with a strong playoff record. Even before the match begins, YSM's starting lineup has the crowd buzzing. Beyond the usual core lineup, there are plenty of new faces on the roster. That's right, in just over a month, Seomun Yeop has brought in 4 players who are already carrying the team. The current roster sits at 3 tanks, 4 close-range fighters, 3 range dealers, and 1 support. But those roles are far from fixed. While Yoon Byum can deal range damage with his bow, he's also able to switch into close-range combat using his superpower. Choi Hyuk holds the tank role, but can shift into a close-range fighter when needed. And Ji Hun, though a close-range fighter, has experience playing support as well. This flexible formation can adapt on the fly, whether in team fights or dungeon hunts. To fill the gap in ranged firepower, Seomun Yeop specifically brought in Shim Yong-soo. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but his incredible focus score and superpower make him a powerhouse for wide-range ranged output. Surveying the team he personally built, Seomun Yeop turns to Coach Sana with a smug smile and asks how confident he feels about this match. Coach Sana has to admit, Seomun Yeop's eye for talent is something else, especially Sanaya. After switching from shield to spear, her growth has been staggering. In just 1 month, every stat has gone up, even if only by a small margin. Keep in mind, the higher your stats already are, the harder it gets to raise them. But since switching to close-range fighter, Sania has been in her element, improving at a pace no one expected. Of course, what Sana doesn't know is that convincing Sania to change her role took Seomun Yeop 3 full days and nights of non-stop persuasion. Sana shakes his head in admiration. Outside of Nathan, he has never seen a player grow this fast. With the crowd roaring, the first match between YSM and CBC gets underway. Unlike previous matches, Coach Sana doesn't issue any battle plan. He hands full command over to the players. As far as he's concerned, winning this match is already a done deal. The first map is Warrior's Graveyard. The map is shaped like an inverted pyramid. Both teams start at the top and push downward layer by layer. The final level is guarded by a humanoid monster protecting the dungeon's core. Along the way, they'll encounter Magic Tree Padop, which strikes using its branches and leaves, and Mist, a parasitic eye creature that can latch onto and take over a host. As Seomun Yeop watches the players battling monsters down below, he finds himself drifting back to his own days in the dungeon. Back then, they had no information about the dungeons. They were flying completely blind every step of the way. He remembers one time, a teammate got parasitized by a mist. The creature drains its host's vitality for 1 full minute before taking complete control. By the time Seomun Yeop realized what was happening, it was already too late. He cut off his teammate's head on the spot. Looking back now, that person probably should thank him. At least it was a painless death. Watching Seomun Yeop recall all of this with a perfectly calm expression, Dongjun feels a chill run down his spine. Then Seomun Yeop suddenly calls out to Dongjun and points at the screen. Something big is about to go down. Sure enough, both teams have nearly finished clearing the top 2 levels. To neutralize Lee Na-yeon's disruptive tactics, SCBC has split their team into a 6-5 formation. They're speeding through the monster clear to stop Lee Na-yeon from popping up and stealing kills. But what they didn't see coming is that the star of this match was never Lee Na-yeon to begin with. It's Seomun Yeop's prize student, Sanaya. Alongside her is tank player Choi Hyuk. Compared to Sania's cool composure, Choi Hyuk is far less convinced this plan will work. SEBC consistently ranks 5th in the B1 league. The idea of just 2 people holding off their squad of 5 seems a little crazy. Whether they can actually pull it off, he honestly has no idea. The moment the attack signal is given, both of them leap straight into the fray. Choi Hyuk goes in first as the tank, locking down one opponent immediately. The remaining 3 spot Sanya and instantly swarm her. As the 3 scrubs come charging in, Sanya calmly draws 2 spears from behind her back. Same model as Seomun Yeop's, pure focus powered, able to extend or compress at will. Their attack is stopped cold by her spears. But what shocks them even more is that Sanya is controlling 3 spears at once. Both hands are gripping a spear, and she's controlling a third one with her foot. While the 3 opponents stand frozen in disbelief, Sanya drives her spears into motion. A force like a tornado erupts from where she stands. All three scrubs are blasted back at once. Who is this woman? She just held off all three of us by herself. But before the words even finish leaving his mouth, Sonya tightens her grip, pivots her body, and launches a spear in a perfect arc toward Choi Hyuk's position. The scrub fighting Choi Hyuk doesn't even register what's happening before the spear drives into the top of his thigh. The scrub lets out a scream, and at that exact moment, a glowing shadow materializes behind him. A blade cuts across. The scrub drops on the spot. Yoon Byum takes the first kill. The commentators outside are stunned. They expected Sonya to go straight for the kill herself. Instead, after blasting back three opponents, she turned it into a picture-perfect assist. The moment Yoon Byum claims the first kill, Sonya is already moving. She draws a fresh spear. Her eyes lock onto one of the three remaining scrubs. The spear rockets toward him like a ricocheting bullet. The instant it leaves her hand, she pushes off the ground and explodes forward. Meanwhile, the scrub reads the spear's path and braces for impact. It's fast, but he's confident he can block it. But just as the spear is about to connect with his face, Sanaya's figure appears in front of him like a ghost. She snatches the spear right out of the air mid-flight. Using the momentum, she redirects the spear and brings it crashing down on him. The scrub panics, raising his weapon to block with everything he has. But Sanaya is completely in her element now. Every thrust she delivers tears through his defense like it isn't even there. Just as the scrub is reeling from her speed, Sanaya grips the spear with both hands and drives it straight into the ground. The sheer force splits the ground open with a massive crack. The scrub barely twists out of the way, but before he can even catch his breath, he sees Sania's spear bending. In the next instant, she uses the spear's flex to launch herself into the air. By the time the scrub figures out what's happening, his body has already been split clean in two. Sania glances back with an icy look. The real hunt has begun. She flickers and charges straight at the next scrub. Her solid spear comes hammering down. The impact detonates on contact, blasting the scrub off his feet. Before he can recover, Sania is already on top of him. In the blink of an eye, her spear has thrust over 100 times. The scrub is barely holding together. Jo Sung-ho, watching from a hidden corner, is floored. The plan was for Sanya and Choi Hyuk to pin down Sebsi's second squad. He didn't expect Sanya to drop a bombshell the moment she went in. He immediately passes the word to Ro Jong-hwan. Everyone stop farming. The chance to wipe the enemy team is right now. Meanwhile, Seomun Yup, watching from outside the screen, lets out a sharp gasp. Sanya's agility score and technique score have actually gone up mid-fight by a full point. It's true that players can raise their stats during battle through deep focus and real experience, but this is Sanya's very first team fight. Back in the arena, landing those kills has lit something up inside Sanya. Everything clicks at once. When Seomun Yup first told her to become a close-range fighter, she wasn't sold on the idea. But now that she's actually doing it, dealing this much damage feels absolutely incredible. As exhilarating as it is, she never forgets what Seomun Yup taught her. He told her once, if chasing kills costs your teammates their lives, you've already lost. No matter what position you play, keeping your teammates alive always comes before securing a kill. That thought pulls her eyes to Choi Hyuk. He's starting to struggle. Without hesitation, Sania abandons the kill and sprints toward him, shouting at him to give her his back. Choi Hyuk catches on instantly and lowers himself. Sania uses him as a launching pad and vaults forward into the enemy. The scrub fighting Choi Hyuk has no idea what just happened. The only answer he gets is a cold spear. At that same moment, the rest of the YSM squad converges on the fight. The outcome is never in doubt. YSM delivers a masterclass in what it looks like when fundamental skills are pushed to their absolute limit. Seomun Yup watches Sania, who seems to be glowing with highlight after highlight. A proud smile spreads across his face. Exactly what I'd expect from someone who even caught my attention. She didn't let me down. After the first match ends, Shim Young-soo slips off to the bathroom alone. He pulls out his phone and eagerly opens the Warfire forums, desperate to see what people are saying about him. It's exactly as bad as he feared. The comments are brutal. Ever since he was kicked off the national team, he's been the forum's favorite punching bag. And even after a win, people are calling him a coward who hides in the backline. Shim Young-soo is losing his composure. These idiots don't know the first thing about tactics. But then two voices drift in from outside, and Shim Young-soo can't stay still anymore. Two CBC players are outside. They're talking about Shim Young-soo, and every word drips with mockery. That's it. Shim Young-soo shoves the stall door open, ready to have it out with them. The scrubs see his fury and don't flinch for a second. They actually turn up the heat even more. That's the plan. Use his hot-headed, impulsive nature to stir up a scandal and get some leverage going into the next match. But just as they've got him right where they want him, another stall door is kicked open. Shim Young-soo takes the full hit. The person walking out is Seomun Yup. He happened to be in there the whole time and heard every word. But unlike Shim Young-soo, he isn't falling for it. A few sentences was all it took to see exactly what these two are up to. The scrubs are suddenly nervous. One of them starts to open his mouth to apologize, but Seomun Yup moves first. He grabs Shim Young-soo and tells him to apologize to them for his attitude just now. The scrubs look completely confused. What is happening? Shim Young-soo is equally baffled. They're the ones who started it. Seomun Yup stares him down. Do what I say or they'll have all the ammunition they need to tear you apart. Why do you think they were talking about you loud enough for you to hear? Without waiting for a response, he forces Shim Young-soo's head down and turns to the two scrubs with a cheerful smile, offering a clean apology on his behalf. On his way out, he makes a point of confirming everything is fine between them. His whole move is simple, leave no opening for anyone to spin this against them. He knows Shim Young-soo is being played, but since he's on his team now, he's not gonna let that slide without a response. Just before walking out, Seo-mun-yup grabs the doorframe and turns back to the punks with an ice-cold look. You two got lucky today, Shim Young-soo is still on probation, so I'm letting it go. If there's a next time, use your imagination. He walks out without looking back. The only thing left behind is a deep set of claw marks in the doorframe. Meanwhile, Ro Jung-hwan is getting the team ready for the next match. This match may have been set up to test Sanya, but everyone else still needs to stay sharp. The second map is Ant Nest. Long ago, the underground people experimented on the ants there, and the results were monstrous mutations. The Ant Queen hides at the very bottom of the dungeon, but the moment anyone gets close, she issues a command and every ant in the dungeon comes swarming. That means the only way to clear this map is to wipe out every single ant first. While Ro Jung-hwan goes over the strategy with the team, Shim Young-soo's mind is somewhere else entirely. Even after Seo-mun-yup's warning in the bathroom, he cannot let go of his grudge against those ABC players. Every laugh from that side of the room sounds like it's aimed at him. When the match officially begins, both teams move into the dungeon. The question is whether Shim Young-soo can keep himself in check while that grudge is burning inside him. The second match gets underway. The 5-person pinning squad led by Sania charges out front. Ro Jung-hwan leads the hunting squad from behind, tearing through enemies left and right. With seamless teamwork, wave after wave of ants falls to the YSM members. But when they finish clearing the first zone, the team realizes Shim Young-soo has vanished. Sure enough, during a lull in the fighting, he slipped away from the squad on his own. He's determined to make those SEBC players feel the full force of his signature move. While he's rushing toward them, Ro Jung-hwan messages him demanding to know where he went. The rebellious punk ignores it completely and mutes him. That sends Ro Jung-hwan through the roof. Someone on his own team is defying his command. When this is over, he's going to deal with him. 10 minutes later, Shim Young-soo arrives at the enemy's hunting zone. What surprises him is that he only sees SEBC players here. There's no sign of his own pinning squad. The original plan had Sania's squad arriving here first. Shim Young-soo intended to link up with them. Then he'd be free to unleash his blast balls from a safe position. It's not going the way he imagined, but he's not backing down. Blazing fireballs streak toward the enemy like missiles. He has complete confidence in his signature move. Watching the flames burst into the air, Shim Young-soo grins. But when the smoke clears, not a single opponent has taken damage. The lead scrub lets out a mocking laugh. Knew you'd come crawling here alone to get revenge, you coward. We've been waiting. Arrows come flying at Shim Young-soo. His plan has completely backfired. His face goes dark with humiliation. He feels absolutely sick. He dodges their attacks, firing off blast balls at the same time. But Seb C has come fully prepared. In seconds, one scrub is right in his face. Shim Young-soo curses under his breath. Fine, he'll take them all down with him. A blast ball forms in his hand. Then, in the next instant, the flame fizzles out. His heart drops. His skill is still on cooldown. His signature blast ball skill holds 5 charges per cycle, with a recharge time of 150 seconds. He rarely fires them all at once in practice, so tracking the recharge time has never been something he's had to think about. Shim Young-soo collapses to the ground. The CBC squad stands over him, grinning down. Finally got you big idiot. But at that exact moment, the announcer's voice rings out from behind them. Sanya, 1 kill. Everyone jolts and spins around. There stands Sanya, spear in hand, staring at them all with a cold, steady gaze. Shim Young-soo is completely lost. Before he can process any of it, a dark hand reaches in and yanks him away. The sudden turn of events leaves the CBC players stunned. They've lost a teammate, and Shim Young-soo has disappeared. Was this all part of YSM's plan? Not exactly. Jo Sung-ho has dragged Shim Young-soo into a hidden corner. The original plan did have them arriving here first to pin down CBC before Shim Young-soo could make a move. But before the match, Seo-mun-yup told them directly this rebellious punk would definitely break formation and go after CBC on his own. So Jo Sung-ho and the others deliberately waited here for him. They even kept one ant alive on purpose to stop this section of the nest from collapsing. Shim Young-soo stares in shock. Thinking back to how Seo-mun-yup has been treating him, a wave of defeat washes over him. He predicted every single move. Jo Sung-ho signals to the group. The others are about to arrive. It's time to move. Shim Young-soo's face goes dark. He doesn't wait for the others to decide anything. He's already crawling out on his own. Hey, if I throw a blast ball over there right now, that should be a lot of kills, right? You think you've got me all figured out, Seo-mun-yup? Let me show you something different. Before Jo Sung-ho can say a word, Shim Young-soo activates his skill. But this time, it's not a blast ball. He uses his support skill, Bind. Focus Forged chains shoot out and wrap around the scrub fighting Sanya. Seizing the moment, Sanya thrusts her spear in a rapid burst, and with a single sequence claims a double kill. Watching from outside, Seo-mun-yup breaks into a proud smile. Even Coach Sana starts praising the hot-headed kid for finally coming around. It's true, Shim Young-soo, the guy who lives to be the center of attention, just chose to set up his teammate instead of going for glory himself. Looks like Seo-mun-yup has gotten through to him. Seo-mun-yup doesn't disagree. He activates his enhanced analysis eye and pulls up Shim Young-soo's stats. His focused score hasn't budged much, but every other stat has jumped significantly. He's confident that with continued training, those numbers will keep climbing, except for tactics and leadership. Seo-mun-yup has never had any faith in those two ever improving. Of course, the reason Seo-mun-yup is developing Shim Young-soo has nothing to do with generosity. He's building him up to sell him at a good price, then use those funds to sign someone even stronger from overseas. In the battles that follow, Shim Young-soo keeps setting up Sanya, landing kill after kill together. The second match wraps up in no time. Sanya is, without question, the standout player of the entire match. Shim Young-soo is grinning like a kid. He's sure Seo-mun-yup saw how much he's grown. What he doesn't know is that to Seo-mun-yup, he's not even a footnote. Outside of Sanya, the player who impressed Seo-mun-yup most is Choi Jong-min, and that's all thanks to his skill that lets him pinpoint enemy weaknesses. Beyond him, Kim Jin-soo and Young Min both put in solid performances. Overall, all three of his new recruits have more than met his expectations. YSM Club is getting stronger by the day. From the field, Young Min looks up at Seomun Yeop in the stands with a look of genuine gratitude. If Seomun Yeop hadn't spent so much effort pulling him back on track, he'd still be wasting away in a gaming cafe. After the first playoff match, Seomun Yeop asks Coach Sana who they're facing next. Sana tells him it's Twin Star Club. Seomun Yeop raises an eyebrow. That's Choi Hyuk's old club. The owner refused to let him go until Seomun Yeop's fists convinced him otherwise. That's how he managed to bring Choi Hyuk in for almost nothing. But remembering how that owner tried to sabotage him still gets under his skin. He asks Sana how strong the opponent is. Sana admits Twin Star Club is probably YSM's toughest competition, but YSM's foundation is solid now. It won't be a walkover for them either. Seomun Yeop isn't satisfied with that. He wants to play this one himself. Might as well use Twin Star Club to let off some steam. Sana just stares at him. His boss really does act like a child sometimes. Still, with him playing, the outcome of this match is already decided. The match ends. Seomun Yeop barely gets through the door when Baek Ji-ho immediately asks where he's been keeping the Zadron seed. Seomun Yeop pulls out a small container without a care in the world. He's been carrying it on him the whole time. Baek Ji-ho breaks into a cold sweat. You took it to the match? What if you lost it and triggered a catastrophe? Seomun Yeop tells him to stop overreacting. If it caused a global disaster, honestly, that might even be entertaining. Baek Ji-ho refuses to argue. He just tells Seomun Yeop not to take it out of the house for no reason. The World Warfire Association has sent word. They're dispatching someone to collect the seed and will offer a price he'll find satisfactory. Seomun Yeop sighs. If it weren't for the money, he wouldn't hand it over to those people under any circumstances. But honestly, the dungeon risk isn't even his biggest concern. What worries him more is the person who founded the World Warfire Association. The warfire competition system and the ability detection technology they built. None of it existed in anything he encountered before. Whoever created this couldn't have done it without having spent real time inside a dungeon. The simulation is too accurate. While